Hi, folks. Larry Rolla here. Do I have a guest for you today? An old friend that I'm sure everybody in the horse business knows. A man of many, 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 many talents, and and we're going to talk about some of them talents. Even though he wants to talk about horses, we're going to get to them. But I just finished telling him that we're going to talk about some of your accomplishments because very few people. Everybody knows you, but very few people know how talented you are, and how whenever anybody needed your talent in any way, that you were right there. So before I screw up, let me bring him on. My friend and yours, Trade Martin. Hi, Trade.
Hey, man. It's going to be fun. I love the logo on your show, the opening logo. I love the way it looks. I'm into that visual thing. So,
Well, thank you. Later on in the show, we're going to play a visual about you. We'll do that in about 20 minutes or so.
all right.
But for right now, I just want to let people know that in my life, everybody that listens here for the last 2 years know that my whole life was music. I loved, no matter where I was, I had to listen to music. And in the 50s and in the 60s, there was only two bands I went to see, and there were a lot of great ones. There were a lot of great bands out there because every corner in every borough in every state had a nightclub back then, and they had a band.
Who were your two favorites, Larry? Who were your two favorites?
Danny Lamego,
Yeah.
Danny Lamego, and you.
Oh, thank you.
And I always tell them about you. And the greatest nights I had was when you used to come in and see Danny and get up, you and Danny. I mean, them shows should have been filmed. It's such a shame that whole thing is lost. It's lost forever because with you and him on the stage, and the many times, for the people that don't know this, I used to have a party every year. And the last bunch of years, I had I'd have a big party just for all my friends, and have every 300-400 people come. I'd have them in big halls. And the last couple of years, I did a Dixieland party. So I called Trade, and I says, Trade, I'm having a Dixieland band come in, and I know that you're probably the best guitar player in the country, and I also know I found out that you have what's the good guitars, Gibson or something like that.
Well, I have I have about I don't want to brag, but I have about 100 of them, over 100.
Unbelievable.
I collect guitars. I collect them, so I have a lot of them, and I have a lot of vintage. I have like 30 or 40 that are really worth a lot of money. Probably. Combined, they're worth maybe around $200,000. But I've been very lucky. I've been collecting them for years since the 60s.
One guitar is worth $200,000.
No. One, my most expensive guitar that's worth is my D'Angelico, was made for me by John D'Angelico, a very famous guitar maker from downtown New York. Of course, he's gone now, but he loved me. He wanted. He made me a Sunburst guitar. He used to make Mottola's guitar and Al Caiola's guitars. All the big studio players. So he made me a guitar, and he wanted to make me a blonde guitar. So I waited about a year for the first guitar, and it cost me about $1,200, I think, something like that. And my father helped me buy it, actually, because I was really young. It was only like 1959. But then he wanted to make me a blonde. He said, let me make you a blonde. I said, no. I said, I got a couple of blondes already. It's almost like we're talking about chicks, but we're talking about guitars. Let me make you a blonde. Anyway, so I said, no. I said, thanks, John. I said, I waited over a year for this one. I said, let me use this one. So that's worth about $40,000. I got that. That's one of them that's worth a lot of money.
So anyway, I called up Trade, and I said, Trade, I have a Dixieland band playing, and They don't have a what do they call that? A mandolin? What do they call
No,
it?
a banjo. A banjo. I
Banjo,
played.
yeah. I says, do you know how to play the banjo? So he says, what are you kidding? I says, do you have one? He says, what are you kidding? And he showed up at the place and he was playing. He just jumped right in with the Dixieland band. They had about, I don't know, 7, 8 pieces. And after the first set, the piano player who was the leader of the band, she come over to me and she says, who's that guy up there with the banjo? She says, he's very good. And I thank God I have that show. I have that show. I videoed that show.
Oh
And
yeah.
you were great. And I have to say this: there wasn't one time ever in my lifetime that I ever called trade and asked him for a favor, and that included financial favors. That included favors that I need him personally for his playing ability or for his group or whatever it was. He was there, never ever disappointed, and that not only was for me. When they were at Roosevelt. In fact, let me just play this thing. It's not very long. When they were at Roosevelt, I believe they wanted. This was years and years and years ago when Roosevelt first opened. When Roosevelt was open. Let me just play this, and we'll get, and then we'll get right back to it.
All right. I got a pacer in mind with the fastest time. He's in the third race, the driver's an ace. So make a bet tonight when the moon is bright. He's 9-1 and they can get the job done. And Roosevelt Raceway, where it all began. And Roosevelt Raceway, where it all began. Come and wager again, the daily double, my friend. First and second race, a trotting the pace. You can win a lot, get your cash on the spot. The feeling is right, it's an exciting night. And Roosevelt Raceway, where it all began. And Roosevelt Raceway, where it all began. Have a drink and a meal, it's so much fun. Watching them go on their big mile run. 2 times around, towards the finish they're bound. The best in the world with that hoofbeat sound. And Roosevelt Raceway, where it all began. And Roosevelt Raceway, yeah, pretty well this would be pretty well. And Roosevelt Raceway, where it all began. And Roosevelt Raceway, where it all began.
Welcome to Roosevelt Raceway, the world capital of harness racing, where it all began, where it is today.
And Roosevelt Raceway, where it all began. 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 I got a pacer in mind with the fastest time. He's in the third race, the driver's an ace. So make a bet tonight when the moon is bright. He's 9-1 and they can get the job done.
That was one of the many hundreds of favors that trade did for people in harness racing, and it wasn't only for racing. He did a lot of favors. I know he wrote a lot of jingles for veterinarians.
Yeah,
and what he never ever talks about, and the people that know him well, I don't even think they know this, that Trade probably wrote 1,500 songs. He probably, I know he wrote the jingles, I think, for American Airlines, Eastern Airlines, a lot of commercials that he did and produced.
TWA I did. TWA and Pan Am.
TWA and Pan Am.
Yeah.
I know that I couldn't forget that one affair that you had, that you brought a couple of your friends that were in all these popular bands. See, I'm a Sinatra, Tony Bennett, Trade Martin, Danny Lamego guy. I don't know these rock and roll bands who you wrote for and produced.
Right.
But you had some of them guys at your affair, and and I know that you wrote songs for them. I know that you produced a lot of them, including BB King. Just lately, I know you did something
A lot
with.
of stuff with BB. Yeah, I did a lot of stuff with BB.
So you're a very, very, very accomplished guy. And in a little while, I'm going to play something that explains a lot more of what you did. In fact, while we're right here, I couldn't believe this. Years ago, I was away. I come back and they said, "Did you see Trade Martin's movie?" And I called you up. I says, "You making a movie?" He says, "Yeah, me and my daughter made a movie." I mean, out of the clear blue sky, here's a guy. He's they say he's like a musical savant, and now he's making movies and everything. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember the name of the movie, but I know you gave me it. You gave it to me, and I watched it, and it was, God, this had to be 50 years ago. And I think it was the first thing that Frankie Vincent or Pesci ever did, or something like that.
Well, I got Frankie in the movie, and then he got Big Pussy in the movie too. I was the executive producer of the movie, me and my daughter. But you know, if it's a shame. If I were 10 years younger, I'd be doing movies every couple of weeks. I mean, I can edit anything, any 35 millimeter video, anything. You know, I mean, I did it for years.
I think it's a lot easier now with the stuff they got now.
It is. It is really a lot easier now. I mean, we would do your movie in a second if I was. And it's not like I'm not capable of doing it, but it's a big deal to cast everybody and do locations and everything. It's really very.
This little thing that I'm going to play right now, it's only a couple of minutes with Frankie Vincent. How long ago was this?
And that's in the movie that you you had seen. You probably don't remember this scene from the movie.
All right, let me
New York.
let me
Check
play.
it out. All right.
George, Tommy, how we doing, huh? Okay. You feel so tense. You gotta relax, man. I'm okay. So what do you got for me? What the fuck is this? 200. That ain't gonna do it, man. These guys are expecting a lot more. They want volume here. I'm gonna feel like a jerk with this. George, they're asking for too much, you know. I don't want this thing to get out of hand. Nothing's getting out of hand. Tommy, you gotta look out for yourself. You were a good cop. You had a lot of respect on both sides of the street. You know, all those years on the job, and what do? They fuck you. George, do me a favor, please. Give me a break, huh? You're not hitting anybody over the head. Nobody's getting hurt. Yeah. It's finally payday, man. It's your day. You know, you gotta take advantage of this. I don't know, George. I don't know. You got to think about it. In the meantime, I'll do my best to take care of this. You come back to the house tomorrow, and we'll straighten out your end, and then we'll talk about it further. All right?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now let me finish about my experiences with you and what a lot of people don't know, because this was probably in the 60s and 70s. Trade Martin had one of the best bands around. He was the front guy. It was his band. He was the front man. He was a singer, and he played the guitar. And he started at 9 o'clock. His first break was midnight, and he went back on 20 after 12, and he played till 3 in the morning, nonstop. One song after another, not even a break, not even a turn around and say, all right, what are we doing next? One after another, after another, nonstop. And every once in a while, you'd see maybe the drummer or the bass player disappear, go to the bathroom, because he stopped for nothing. He just kept right on going. He only stopped at 12 o'clock for about, and that was, and I loved that. It was continuous, nonstop, and great stuff. Really good. And like I said before, the only other band that I go to was Danny LeMago. Danny LeMago and the Jumpin' Jacks. Danny's a little older than you, and every once in a while you used to sit in with him, and then with the Greatest Nights. I mean, I went. Look, I used to go see Louis Prima whenever he was around. When he's in Bachelor's 3, I went every single night. I would rather sit and listen to you and Danny LeMago than Louis Prima. And Louis,
oh man, thank you,
was probably noted as the best lounge band that there was around. But in my opinion, it don't compare with now Frankie at the keyboard. He wasn't a Liberace, but he had that shuffle.
he knew what to play.
Yeah. And Danny would just turn around and put that like a C. That's all he would do, is just turn around and go like this, and then he'd go right into another song, just like you, and into another song, and and then when he used to play just a few years back at Diamond Springs, you would pop in every once in a while, and I says, "Oh, good, Trade is here," and then you would go up and sing, and them things for me were just priceless, and I'm sorry that I never. Now unfortunately Danny's not here anymore. He's gone. You're the only one left, but you moved out of the area and you moved up to wherever you are now.
Strasbourg. Yeah.
There's no more groups around. There's no more nothing. Wherever you were, I went, and wherever Danny played, I went. Danny took me all over the place. He went even into Brooklyn, the Brown Derby. He played the Brown Derby. I was there every night. Wherever I had to go, I went. And them days are all gone. And all the favors you did for everybody. And this is the things that people don't know. And then on top of all of that, on top of writing your jingles, on top of doing favors, on top of doing everything, you had a stable full of horses. And you named them all after music instruments. So the only one I remember is synthesizer. That's the only horse I remember.
Yeah,
but you were there in the morning. You did your work in the morning. And then you were gone, and you did your other work, and that's another thing. You're like 24 hours a day. You never stop. Just for kicks, how many songs did you write in your lifetime?
I have no idea. You know, Dan, when I say that, Larry, I don't know. I don't count them. Anybody who counts the number of songs they did is probably an amateur. When a guy comes up to me and he says to me, he goes, "I wrote 321 songs, you know." I said, "No kidding, really?" I said, "Do you have any good ones?" You know? So, I mean, I never counted the amount of songs. I write 2 or 3 songs a week right now. And that's not the songs those are the songs I write. I write other ones that I completely throw out. If I don't think they're going to be good enough, I just trash them, because ideas are a dime a dozen, and titles are a dime a dozen. But when you come up with a good one, like I just did a song called "She Used to Be a Fashion Model," and it's a jazz ballad, and you'll hear it later. I'll send it to you. You'll get a kick out of it.
You know what I just remembered?
Wow.
I remember. I'm not going to mention his name, but a friend of mine was in jail for like 44 years.
Yeah.
When he was in jail, he wrote a bunch of stuff, and he was pretty good. He wrote a lot of country western stuff. and he wrote, I don't know what you call it, a parody or something that went
Yeah, it
along
was
with.
kind of a parody on a Waylon Jennings thing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and he says, you know, anybody that could do this and mix it with George Carlin's whatever that famous thing that he did. And I says, there's only one guy I know that could do this and do it well, and that's Trade Martin. So I went to you with him, and you say he told you what he would like, and you called back about a week later, and he says, come to the studio, and it was beautiful. I just remembered that. Otherwise, I would have had it on here. What a beautiful thing. And you had all the musicians, the guy that plays that country western, like it's a guitar that lays down like a piano. I
Yeah,
don't know.
steel guitar, steel guitar. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh man, it was beautiful. And you sang it, and it was great. He just I just asked you to do it because the poor guy was in jail for 40 something years.
Wow.
He wanted to have something, that show for it, because he wrote a Broadway play too, but that's never going to get done. So at least he has this, and it was great. He was very, very thankful, and actually you never charge nobody.
No, no. Okay, you kidding?
So I thank you for that, and he still talks about that till today.
Really?
Um,
Tell him
all
I
right.
said hello. Send him my regards. Send him my best.
Yeah, I will. I'm going to his 90, I think it's 96th birthday party in a couple of months.
Wow. No, God bless
Will
him.
I will send you your regards. He's a good guy, and he really appreciated what you did. All right, you want to talk about your driving experience, your training experiences? You want to talk about the favors you did for all the race secretaries? What do you want to talk about?
That's funny. No, the funny thing is, um, a lot of guys ask me. I mean, Greg Peck asked me. I know he was on your show a couple of weeks ago, maybe
Yeah,
a couple of, and he asked me. He said, "How'd you get started?" So I told him. I said, I bought a cheap horse, and I was up at the Blue Spruce Farm in Goshen, because I used to hang around and go to the races in Goshen. And I remember meeting Billy Houghton uh, one time when I was up there, And later on, I raced against Billy and Stanley and Chapman in a race, in an actual race up in Goshen. I didn't do too well, but I'll tell you about that later. The thing is, I was up at the Blue Spruce Farm, so I bought this cheap horse, and Harry Pinall, who was a great guy, but I mean, you get many better trainers than maybe I would put him next to you, but I wouldn't put him next to too many guys. I mean, Star's Pride, Mattistar, he just knew how to gate a horse real good. And he used to come up in the afternoons, and I used to come up in the afternoons because I was busy in the mornings doing jingles or recording as Frosty Victor or whatever I was doing. So I would come up in the afternoon, drive up, and he'd be there, and I got very friendly with Harry, and he would show me a lot of different things with my cheap, stupid horse, which was the name of this horse was called Balalaka, which is a Russian instrument, Russian string instrument. It's like a triangle instrument, and I guess that's why I got so attached to this horse. But she couldn't do better on the farm track. I never went better than 212, and never got to qualify her. But I had her gated so she would go to, a big deal, big 29 quarter at one time, but which is like nothing today, going zero today. But so I got to know Harry real well, and I got really hooked on the horses. It was like a diversion for me. It was like going fishing or playing golf. I don't play golf, but it was my diversion from music, and I was able to free my mind from music by thinking about horses. And I'm sure this happens to everybody who's a horseman, including you. You know, at night you think about, say, man, that ankle is bothering. That ankle is bothering this horse. I got to figure out whether I want to sweat it, I want to inject it. If I want to figure out what I want to do with it, I'm going to start painting it. I want to, or the knees, or the hocks, and you're thinking about what you want to do with the horse. I mean, during the night, and almost like in a dream, you're doing that when you're a trainer. It's funny, and it's almost worse than music, because music you can get away from music. I don't listen to music at all, including my own. I mean, I just have to. I like creating, so if I get inspired by something, it throws my creativity off, my distinctive creativity off. But anyway, so I got to know Harry, and I met his wife, and we were at a couple of New Year's parties with Harry and his wife, and I mean, he was really a big inspiration for me. And then I wound up getting about 12 horses. I had about 12 horses. I broke them from scratch. And Buddy Cummer was with me down at the Willowbrook Farm. He was a great guy, Buddy. And he was a good trainer, too. He knew his stuff. And listen, I learned from a lot of these guys, and I learned from you, too. There's a lot of things I picked up from everybody.
Did you have an A license or a qualifying? What kind of license did you have?
I wound up getting an A license in, early 70s. I had an A license already, about 72.
I just don't remember you driving in any race. I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I drove. It's funny. Greenberg wanted me to play with the band and open the disco at Monticello. And that night I drove in the race, finished fourth. I didn't do too well. I drove in the race, and I went upstairs, and my guys were all set up, and we played the rest of the night at the disco. Opened up the disco at Monticello.
Yeah, upstairs, all the way upstairs on the top.
Yeah. Fun, yeah. No, but I raced a lot. I used to race almost every week at Monticello, and I mean, I wasn't breaking the doors down, but I didn't make any breaks with my horses, and I remember one night. We were together, and they had suspended me for some reason. I don't know why. I couldn't drive my horse, and you couldn't drive the horse or something. You were down for some reason, and we put Cat on the horse, and I told Cat, I said, listen, around the first turn, you got to yell at her so she doesn't make a break. I said, if you don't yell at her, she's going to make a break around the first turn. So, of course he thinks these guys, all the good guys, the really good drivers, they think they know everything. So he figured he had the hands and he could control her around the first turn. I always got her around the first turn because I would yell at her around the first turn. The other turn, she was fine. He didn't yell at her around the first turn. He made a break. He comes back. He goes, I can't understand how I couldn't drive this horse tonight, and you can always drive her and get her around the turn. And you said to him, because you didn't yell at her.
I said that to Cat?
Yeah, I remember you said that to him because I had told you too. I think you drove.
Oh, Cat back then, he was a young kid, right? He was just coming up?
Yeah, he was just starting, but he had an A license, but he was doing well. He was like an up-and-coming driver. And Ralph Arone was like his manager. You remember Ralph?
Of course I remember Ralph with his beautiful, beautiful daughter, Gina.
I don't remember his daughter, but I remember Ralph was fun.
She was beautiful. She wound up marrying Steve Manzi.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Interesting.
Man.
Yeah.
I
miss Joey DeSimone. Joey was such a good guy.
We were talking about Joey last night with Ron Woodbury.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was good. That whole family was good. Allie and all. Allie had like 100 daughters, each one gorgeous. Everyone Beautiful.
No kidding. Yeah.
Denise still works in the race office. It's been 40-something years. She's still there.
Really? No kidding.
Yeah, remember Denise, and that's where you know John Manzi too, right?
Yeah. John is down in Florida now. Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I don't think he's doing too well. They said.
No, I heard that too. I did uh, I know you don't like this name, but he was a very close friend of mine. I got to be godfather for one of his kids. Vince Pagamo was, what was I going to say about Vince? Anyway, he was real good to me. I heard you were not happy with him and for many times, but he passed.
He couldn't wait. He couldn't wait for Slutsky to die to nail me to the cross. He knew Slutsky protected me for all them years up there.
Yeah.
The minute Slutsky died, it was that was the end of me, and I knew it. And thank God, Joe DeFrank gave me stalls at the Meadowlands, so I got out of Monticello before he can get me. But I made one mistake. I used to go up to Monticello every Sunday when my father died to take my mother to lunch, and I would take her to the racetrack for lunch.
Yeah.
And they had some race that was a bad race, and they got me. Well, I knew. I was sitting in the dining room, and one of the kids that used to work for me come over and said, "Look, if you're going to be here for the last race, here, bet these numbers." So they obviously set up the last race, and I wasn't interested. I hadn't raced there in 2 years. I had no horses there. I was just at half. So when it come time to leave, I come on, Ma, let's go. And she says, "Ain't you going to bet what that horse told you? You promised that boy you would bet these horses for him." I says, "No, it wasn't for him." She says, "But you shouldn't lie to these boys." My mother was in it. She didn't know nothing. So I went to the window and I bet. And that was a race that they fixed the race. It was a bad race. They had a 2-month investigation. They couldn't get nowhere. Finally, they talked to all the tellers. And one of the tellers knew me. They all knew me up there.
Right.
Said Larry Rolla cashed the tickets. And that's how they got me. So they called me in. And they says, "We know you bet. We have the printouts. Give us the names of the guy who tell us who gave." And I wouldn't give them up, and I lost everything. And Pagamo was behind it all. He was nice to you, but he wasn't nice to me. But anyway,
I know.
That was Pagamo. Now another thing I want to talk about, because I'm sure you remember, and then we'll get back to the horses. I'm sure you remember this guy. I remember that night. Do you remember that? Can you see that? Me, you, and Frank Valalongo.
Oh yeah, Frankie. Yeah, it's a shame what happened with him. Yeah. Well, I introduced you to Frank.
Yeah, I called you up, and you said that you were playing in this club, and Frank Valalongo's coming in, and he had just won the Academy Award for the movie Green Book.
Well, his brother did. Yeah, his brother.
Him and his brother.
Nick.
And you says that he's coming there tonight. So I says, "Okay, I'm coming up." And on the way up, we were waiting all night. He never showed up. Finally, at the end of the night, if you remember, we got a phone call from him.
Of course,
He
I remember.
crashed his car on the highway, and I went down and picked him up, and I said, "Trade, wait here. I'm going to bring him back here." And he came back covered with blood. And if you could see that picture, we bandaged his nose all up. He broke his nose and everything.
Yeah.
And that was the night. And then this was his brother when they won the Academy Award, Nick. And this is Frank and Nick and his father, Tony Lip, that played in the
buddy, yeah.
Yeah, and he was also the maitre d' with Carmine at the Copa. And after and just to finalize this part of the story, they were going to do my movie, and they came down, and Frank lived with me for about 2 weeks until his brother Nick came down, and they were going to do my movie, and and Nick had to go back to California. He said because Pavarotti died, and he had to go meet with Pavarotti's daughter, who was going to give him the rights to his life story. So Frank calls me up and says, "Can I stay with you?" Because when he first got here, he stayed with me for 2 weeks, and we got along really well. We talked about his father, who was my good friend.
Right.
And, so I said, "Sure, you could stay." And that was Monday night. He never showed up Monday. Called Tuesday, he didn't answer the phone. Wednesday, Thursday, I got a call.
It's Joe Pesci here. Now listen, this next song you're about to hear is...
What the hell happened there? The next day, I got a call Thursday, and the call was they found him dead in the Bronx, and he bought some cocaine. I guess he was into that, and it was laced with fentanyl.
Yeah.
And he died right behind the wheel. And this happened in 2022. What a shame. And
right before that, I had lent him my SUV, which I had 2 SUVs, and I lent him one SUV, and I got 10 tickets that I had to pay, and then I lost the SUV too. He abandoned it. I mean, this guy's supposed to be a friend of ours, But I mean, listen, when you're on drugs, you don't know what you're doing. And he abandoned the SUV. So I lost the SUV. They took it into wherever. I lost the SUV, and I got 10 tickets, and then he died.
Yeah, it was same.
Them
drugs are it's so bad. So many good, talented people died, and he was really a good guy, but he was so he was just in bad shape, and he was clean for a while, but he relapsed, and that's what happened.
Yeah, he was very hyper guy.
Yeah. All right, here's the other thing I wanted to show you. It just popped up here. Now this is I want everybody to listen, because in this little video it tells about. I want you to listen to just some of the accomplishments of our friend Trade Martin. Here goes.
Real special. Close to my heart. See, it's a tribute to my childhood friend, the one and only Trade Martin. Me and Trade, we go way back. We grew up together. New Jersey kids with a dream, playing in a little band together when we were just teenagers. In fact, Trade's the one who sold me my very first Stratocaster back in 1958. Yeah, before I ever thought about movies, we were making music. But Trade didn't just stop there. He went on to become one of the most talented music producers and arrangers this industry's ever seen. He scored a top 40 hit in '62 with That Stranger Used to Be My Girl. He worked alongside legends like Phil Spector, played guitar on tracks like Twist and Shout and Cherry Cherry, and helped shape the sound of doo-wop with groups like the Earls and the Glens. He discovered and produced BT Express with their smash hit, Do It Till You're Satisfied. Produced for Cher, Patti LaBelle, Leslie Gore, The Tokens, Vanilla Fudge, and even had ties to the Beach Boys sessions back in the day. He also worked with B.B. King, producing the Grammy-winning Live at San Quentin and writing the powerful Peace to the World, which King performed for President Bush. Trades released duets and tributes with B.B., scored music for films like Hail Stormy Monday and It's My Party, and created jingles heard on radio and TV for decades. This guy, he's the real deal, a brill-building air genius, a soulful writer, and still active today with new music and projects. Now, this song you're about to hear was written and produced by Chris Dallas, the creator of Celebrity Recreations. It's done in that classic Dean Martin style, smooth, timeless, and full of heart. So kick back and enjoy this musical tribute to a true legend and a dear friend, Trade Martin. Oh, before I forget, one more thing. Chris and Trade actually met right here on this very channel, and they've become great friends ever since, spending countless hours talking on the phone about life, music, and all the incredible things Trade's done over the years. A lot of laughs, a lot of stories, real friendship. So Chris wanted to honor him the best way he knows how, with this awesome tune. And get this, the singer you're about to see, that's Trade Martin recreated, just as he looked in his mid-20s. That's him. Young, sharp, smooth as ever, just like the music. Enjoy it, folks. It's for Trade Martin, a true original.
He grew up Jersey side, young Johnny Leone, strumming six strings smoothly, making music his own, with Pesci by his side. Two kids on the scene, teenagers with dreams bigger than the silver screen. Session guitar for Phil, Brill Building's golden days, crafted hits for Cher, Patty's powerful ways, vanilla fudge and tokens, the beat he defined. He turned each track to gold, melodies intertwined. Trade Martin singing proud in Sinatra style, smooth as Dean Martin, always wearing a smile. A producer, a legend, with magic in his hands, made history in music, playing in timeless bands. In studios late, crafting timeless art, strings from his soul, music from his heart, from Beach Boys waves to rhythm and blues. Trade Martin's legacy forever renews. Grammy-winning sounds, soulful notes he played, live at San Quentin with blues that never fade. Inspired by the greats, Sinatra and Dean, Trade sings the standards, keeps their memory keen. Trade Martin singing proud in Sinatra style, smooth as Dean Martin, always wearing a smile. A producer, a legend, with magic in his hands, made history in music, playing in timeless bands. From Jersey streets to stages bright, B.B. King played peace to the world's delight. Rome records rise, BT Express took flight. Do it till you're satisfied, echoed through the night. From that stranger used to be my girl, it began. Now he's working on music like Dean Martin planned. Tributes to the classics, passion shining bright. Trade Martin songs forever feeling just right. Trade Martin singing proud in Sinatra style, smooth as Dean Martin, always wearing a smile. A producer, a legend, with magic in his hands, made history in music, playing in timeless bands. From melodies rich to soulful strings, studio magic Trade Martin brings. Working with legends, he carved his name, etched forever in the Hall of Fame. A friendship born recent, just months ago. Chris Dallas and Trade, a bond set to grow. Celebrity recreations, he praises each time. Soon Pesci may visit, that'll be sublime. So here's to Trade Martin, a musical force. Friendships everlasting, charting a course. From Pesci to legends, his life's melody. Trade Martin, your song lives eternally.
Now that, of course, was a creation of you, but everything he sang and everything that they said was true, and that was great.
Thanks, Larry. Thank you. That was nice that Chris did that. He surprised me with that. It was like a gift. He was, listen, he was impressed with my stuff. I'm not impressed with my stuff, but I'm
well, you know who else was impressed with your stuff from the 60s on, and who most of the time beat me there? Benny Webster.
Oh,
never
he was.
Got off the dance floor. I never danced. I sat at the table all by myself in the corner and just broke ashtrays pounding on the table. But Benny Webster never got off the dance floor. Unbelievable.
Benny was a great guy.
He was there.
Was he a great guy? He was the best.
He was a great guy. Loved to
him
party.
and Kenny McNutt. They
Yeah.
ever tell you the story when they backed through the Lincoln Tunnel? I mean, I still don't even I can't imagine that where they backed through the Lincoln Tunnel.
I never heard that story.
Yeah, they made a bet with somebody that they could back through the Lincoln Tunnel, driving backwards through the Lincoln Tunnel, and they said they did it. I'm not sure how the hell they did it, but that's the story. It's so funny. I think Benny was. I did a tribute to Benny at Goshen. I sponsored a race at Goshen for Benny about 2 years ago. I didn't get to go that day because I was going to present the award to whoever won the race, but I don't even know who won the race. But there was a race dedicated to him that I supported. I paid for it, and he was just a great guy, Benny. Maybe
You know what was sad about Benny? He was great. He was great in every way, and it was sad how his life ended. Here's a guy that made millions and millions, spent it, had a ball.
Yeah.
I mean, if I can't name. Every time he met a girl that he liked, he'd buy her a house or a car. He was just unbelievable, and it made no money. How it made no difference how much money he made. He just gave it away and spent it, and just had a ball. He had a good life, but the last few years, he came to all of my parties, and the last few years he was failing. He wind up. He was with this woman who owned a big car wash. Yeah, really nice girl, and she used to bring him because after a while he was unable to drive or anything, and she used to bring him to all the parties and everything, and she brought him a bunch of times to see Danny at Diamond Springs, and come to my parties, and then he just passed away. What a great guy.
Well, he'd still be alive, Larry, if he drank like a fish. I mean, he was a big drinker, and
Yeah,
that ruins a lot of our friends. It really
Yeah.
does. That's why you and I, luckily, we're in decent shape. I mean,
well, I don't drink. When I used to go to see you, I would say to the waitress or waiter, give me a half a shot of Canadian Club and a full glass of club soda, and that drink would last me from 9 o'clock until 3 in the morning.
yeah, you were never a drinker like me. I never drank. I never got drunk.
I never drank, and I gave up smoking halfway through my life too. So you never smoked, right?
I never smoked. No, I was lucky with that. My mother'd still be alive. She used to smoke 3 packs of Camels a day. I mean, she
Wow.
really. I mean, my father didn't smoke. He lived to 93. He wasn't on one pill when he passed away. God bless him.
I remember you. I remember your father. I remember him. Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember, and I remember somehow in my mind, I remember him with an army uniform on or something. A picture
Yeah.
that I once seen.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
in World War II. Yeah. He was
Yeah.
he was a great guy. My father. It was funny. He bought me my first guitar, and I started when I got started. I was only maybe real 5, 6 years old. My uncles always played guitar. I just want to tell you this. My 2 uncles, they were Django Reinhardt kind of players, gypsy jazz players. And we always had a recorder around. In fact, we had a tape recorder and we had a disc recorder. And I guess that's why I got infatuated with recording, because they were always recording and I was always there. And we were either cutting the disc or going on tape. And I still have the web core that my father had. My father he was loved the recording scene. He used to sing, but he wasn't a professional singer. But he had a little bit of a voice, though. I guess that's where I got it from. But uh, that's how I grew up, and right now I record every day. I would rather be at the barn with some horses in the morning, but I'm not.
Last night somebody asked me, because I always talk about, because it fascinated me, how you sang so well, you played so well, the musicians behind you were great, and one song after another, nonstop. It just seemed like you knew the right chords or the right rhythm for song after one right into another without a stop. And somebody asked me last night, why did the band stop? And I told them, this is what I told them. I don't know if it's true or not, but I remember this. And I hope I got this right. You had a drummer, I think, that he was going to pay the toll on the parkway, and it was raining, and the coin missed the basket, and he got out. He slipped on the pavement, and the car ran him over. Is that kind of right?
I don't remember that, Larry. I don't remember that. I really don't.
Didn't you have a musician that died in your band?
Yeah, Frankie, the saxophone player, came to see me at Les Jardins, and when he left Les Jardins, he was in a car accident, and he broke his neck, and he died.
No, this was way, 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 way back. You don't remember that? That got somebody in your band. He got out, and you know how by the toll booths they have that concrete that's on an angle,
Yeah,
and
sure.
he slipped on it, and some car ran him over or something. I must be delusional because I remember that. I thought it was your band. Maybe it was somebody else's.
I don't think it was my band, Larry, because I would remember that kind of a thing. My drummer Joey, who was a great drummer, he passed away about a year ago. He was 88 years old. I never thought he was. I never thought he was 88. I always thought he was around my age, which is around 80. And I thought he was my age, but he was always like 8 or 9 years older than I.
You know, an act that would go over today, any place in the world, is you and our friend, the piano player that used to sing my favorite song that he sang, that Charles Aznavour song.
Oh, yeah,
Al.
Al de Leon, yeah.
Is he still around?
Yeah, he's still around. He's at that restaurant, Giordano's or something in Campagnola in New York. It's a really exclusive restaurant.
He is great, that guy. You and him together are unbelievable. I don't know. And whatever happened to that other thing? You started it and then you ended it. It was the most excited I got in a long time. You and your friend did, I forgot what you called it, but you did like a little rehearsal, and I went there with a bunch of people. It was about Sinatra and Jimmy Roselli.
Oh, yeah. I know that.
With that would have been a Broadway play.
It could have been really. I got him to do that. It was his concept and his idea, and I brought it to fruition. And I did him a favor, and it's a shame he's such a gabadost. You know what that is in Italian? That's like a hardhead. It's he just never listened. He never listened. I got the library. You came to the library to see that. That's where the library in Secaucus. We did the show.
Yeah. I went there with Danny LeMago and everybody, and Danny says, this is going to be great. This is going to be great. Because that guy also, I think, was good friends with Jimmy Roselli, and I think he even interviewed Jimmy Roselli.
Well, he managed Jimmy for a while. He managed Jimmy for a while. And listen, it was a great concept, and he still does the show. He does it on his own. He wanted me to come to Florida. I said, listen, I don't fly unless there's $100,000 on a line. I'll take the trip. Otherwise, I'm not flying anywhere. I'll tell you that right. I just don't like planes. He said, well, drive down then. I said, no, I'm not going to drive 21 hours. Are you kidding?
Why did you move out of Jersey?
Well, because was too crowded in Jersey. I couldn't park. I mean, I used to. The funny thing is, I was playing at Lavinia in Little Falls, and this is a funny story because my father. I was taking care of my father for like 10 years before he passed on, and I mean, he was living with me, and it was just me and him. And I would leave him for a couple of hours, be able to leave him. But one night, I used to have to drive around like for almost 40 minutes in order to find a parking space in Weehawken. And that's why I left mostly. I drove around. Finally, I parked somewhere, found a place to park. A lot of times I'd get a ticket, but they knew my car and they wouldn't ticket me. But I parked, and I'm walking back. And it's lucky I parked where I parked because I'm walking back, and walking towards me is my father. And I'm looking at him, and he's looking at me, he goes, "Hey." I said, "Yeah, what are you doing out here?" I mean, it was freezing. He was in his pajamas. He had little dementia and stuff like that. So I said, "Come on, Dad, we got to go home." He said, "Well, I want to go home." He was always looking for the place where we used to live in Union City. He was always looking for that apartment. He always said, "I want to go home." I said, "No, home is here." That was around the corner. I walked around the corner, and I took him in the house. But if I didn't park where I parked and wasn't walking back home where I was walking, I would have never seen him. He would have walked into the Hudson River somewhere. I don't know, So I was lucky that I found him that night.
Trey, there's a couple of questions here for you. A lot of comments come in, but there's a couple I want to read off to you.
Right.
See, Black Ass, he says, Trey, do you remember Tom Cianci at the Blue Spruce?
Of course, Tommy Cianci. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Who was he?
He was. What I heard about Tommy, he was really a nice guy. I heard he was one of the mob runners in the Bronx or in Brooklyn somewhere, and they wanted to move him out of New York, so they moved him up and they put him on the farm, and they gave him this farm to run, which is the Blue Spruce Farm, Tom Cianci, and he had a brother named Vic also. Vic. They had a nice little place there. In fact, I almost bought that place. They wanted to sell me the place, and I should have bought it. It's probably worth a couple of $1 million now, but I could have bought the place for like less than $100,000 at the time, and I almost bought it, but it was too far away.
We got another one. Manny says, Manny's my pal. Manny, he's my new friend, Manny. He says we need Trade on the show more often. Well, let me tell you what happened.
Yeah, nice.
I got a call the other day. I don't usually make. I hardly ever make any phone calls. I've been like that my whole life, and Trade has at least 5 or 6 numbers. So anytime I have to call him, I got to go through all the numbers, and then he's always recording, so he never answers the phone. So I never call him.
Right.
2 days ago, I got a phone call, and it was Trade. And Trade says, I says, "How you doing, Trade? What's up?" He says, "I know you a long time." He says, "And I have to tell you, I'm a little bit hurt and insulted." I says, "Well, what happened now?" Because I do, in my life, I wind up hurting a lot of people, but not on purpose. But I fuck up sometimes. I fuck up. And so he says, I says, "What are you talking about?" He says, "You have all our friends on the show, and you never once asked me." And I felt terrible. I says, "Oh, Trade, you can come on anytime you want." I says, "I just know that, and I know you do that thing with Freddie on Thursdays, and I know without Freddie, I know you're always busy, constantly busy, all the time. You're always recording all the time." And when I said to Freddie once, I says, "Freddie," I says, "listen, if you want," because I don't invite anybody on. I don't. I invited one person on, And they said yes. And then because of my reputation that I had, which the whole world knows, they don't want to come on because of my past, what I did in that period of time. So I don't ask anybody because I don't want to put them on a spot. But I have other people ask. And trade. I was going to end the show until Mike LaChance called me up. Mike
You told
LaChance.
me, yeah.
And he says, don't end the show. I'll come on. Don't end the show. Everybody's getting together. It's nice and everything else. And we just have fun. We do like now. We kid around.
Right.
So I says, Trade, you can come on anytime. So I says tonight. And we just made it happen. In the few clips that I got a friend of mine to put them up real quick. And it worked out right. So, Manny says we need Trade on more often, and whenever he wants to come on, he comes on. But it's tough to get a guy that writes 1,000 songs a year and records them all himself. He must have a library, unbelievable.
Well, I have a lot of music videos on YouTube, maybe more than most other guys. My music videos on YouTube are extensive. So if anybody wants to look me up, please tell them to check me out on YouTube. I have a lot of stuff on YouTube.
Well, they all hear you. So if just go to YouTube and check out Trade Martin.
Yeah,
I'm sure he has hundreds on there.
yeah, something like that. Maybe 300 or 400 music videos on there, and they get a lot of views, a lot of hits. I'm very lucky. I'll tell you, I'm very lucky. I got a lot of followers.
Manny also asked. He says, "Go get him, Trey. Curious how you like today's day and age, Michael Bublé."
Well, listen, he sounds like a nice singer to me. A nice singer without a style, you know. Listen, he's got a good PR guy. I'll tell you that. He's a nice-looking fella, and he handles himself well on stage. But he's not a distinctive vocalist like Sinatra, Bennett, Mel Torme, Nat King Cole. He's got to go a long way. He might be able to catch Trey Martin someday, but he's got to go a little ways yet. You know.
I have to ask you. Every time I went to see you at the Dajan, whatever that place was,
Les Jardins. Yeah.
The only song that you wouldn't sing when request was Neil Diamond's song,
Sweet Caroline.
Sweet Caroline. Now, and I never asked you why. Do you want to say why?
Well, the only reason was I knew Neil from the early '60s, and it's a shame that right now he's not in good shape physically, and I feel bad. He's a couple of years older than I, but he was always a nice fellow. He was always good to me, but he was never really that good in the early '60s. He got developed and he got better as it was 65, 66, 67. In the early 60s, I said to him, I said, Neil, you better get a day job. Don't bother with the music business. I said, because you're not that good. It was almost like you would say to me with the horses, listen, you're not that good a driver. You're not that great a trainer. You know, go find something else to do, you know. But that's what I said to Neil. But Neil developed, and he got a distinctive sounding voice, and he got good. He wrote a song, and it was a Monkees hit. That was his first big record. And then I played on a couple of his big records. I played on Cherry Cherry. I played guitar on Cherry Cherry. That was his first big record. And he's a nice guy. He was a good guy. And he developed into a really good, distinctive singer, unlike Bublé. Bublé is a good singer, don't get me wrong, but he's like a jingle singer with no style. And just a generic, nice singer. Sings the notes right, the phrasing is good, but not stylistic like Sinatra, like a real stable, real big singer would be.
What made you know what's amazing to me, Trade? I I've been around a long time as you have, and I've been out every night of my life listening to music from all over the country.
Right.
I've seen actors, I've seen impersonators, I've seen other singers imitate other singers almost identical that you couldn't tell them, but there's not one that could do Sinatra. Why? What is that? Was that voice so hard to do, or I don't get it. I mean, they could do Tony Bennett, even Andre and Sorrell. Remember Frankie?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Tony Bennett, like it was Tony Bennett. You couldn't tell, and whether it's Elvis or Tony Bennett or Steve Lawrence, anybody, but they can't do Sinatra. I don't get it.
Sinatra is an enigma. Sinatra's voice is a very I mean, he's great, don't get me wrong, and he's got a good range. He's got a distinctive almost like a talk sing kind of a style, but you can't explain it. There are a couple of guys that get close to sounding like Sinatra, but it's very difficult to get his sound. And I don't like imitators. I mean, I want to take all the Elvis Presley imitators and all the so-called Sinatra imitators. I want to put them in a big stadium, and I want to drop an atomic bomb on them. Only because, listen, it's easy to imitate people. Yeah, when I was younger, when I first heard Elvis when I was 9 years old. In fact, I got a YouTube video that explains that. But I was only 9 years old, and then I started imitating Elvis, and I sounded almost very close to the way he sounded. I could really imitate him well. But after that, I started to develop my own style. But it's easy to imitate somebody, listen to somebody, and you get in, and you get not infatuated, but you get almost like you're living them, and you become them, and you imitate them. And I'm not a fan of anyone who imitates anybody. I like distinctive singers.
Now I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. I'm going to ask you two questions because
Right.
I get asked this first question all the time, and it's impossible to answer in my opinion. So I'm going to ask you, who do you think is in the top 5 harness drivers, and who do you think is the 5 top male singers, and who do you think is the top female singers? And I'm talking about in the 50s, 60s, like Ella Fitzgerald in them years with Ben.
Right.
You want to start with the harness racing? You keep. I don't even know these kids today, so I don't know. But back in our day, in the day of Benny Webster and Carmine and John Campbell and O'Donnell and the years that you were around all the time, not these new kids. I don't know, and they still got. As far as I'm concerned, they're all great. But I think, and I might be talking out of school because I've been out of it for 30 years. I still think they got a way to go to prove, even though some of them, there's a handful of them that are extremely talented, and I'm sure that they're going to make it all into the Hall of Fame. But back in our day, who do you think were the top 5?
Well, I would say I like Billy Houghton. I like Johnny Chapman. From up in Monticello, I like Ken Heaney a lot. I don't know if you'd agree with that, but I thought he was a pretty handy driver.
He was.
I would put Benny Webster in that bunch.
Absolutely.
And I'm not sure how good Bobby Cherrick's was as a driver, but he always had his.
Well, you're going way back now.
He always had his horses ready, and when he came to Roosevelt or Yonkers, I mean, he he exploded all the time. I'm not sure how good a driver he was, but getting to be a driver, I mean, a farmer can be a driver. Anybody can steer a horse around the racetrack, but certain guys have a little more uh, peripheral vision, better hearing, and better athletic uh, capabilities, and they're better than other guys. But almost anybody, I mean, I could teach, and you could teach anybody to drive a horse who could grab the lines. And you got to have courage to get on the track. Of course, you have to have balls. You can't just go on the track and be scared. You go behind the gate, you come away from the gate. You can't be scared going away from the gate. In fact, I'll tell you a funny story, and you'll get a kick out of this. Jim Grundy, I thought, was a great driver at the time up in Monticello. I don't know how you felt about that. I thought Jimmy was very good, Jim Grundy. But I'm going away from the gate with, I think it was my Trotter synthesizer at the time. But I had a couple up there. And you drove a couple for me up there too. But I'm going away from the gate. I get away from the gate, and I'm stuck on the outside, and I'm looking to tuck, and I'm like fifth on the outside. And I'm saying, I yelled to I forget, I think John Gilmer was in the race. I forget who else was in the race. One of the guys, all the guys from Monticello. And I said, "Come on, guys, let me in. Let me in." I'm sitting outside. I say, "Come on, guys. Hey, let me in." So Jim Grundy, he looks over at it. He goes, I don't want to use bad language. He goes, "The fuck you think you're at Johnson Park? You think you're in a fucking matinee race?" So I took my horse all the way back to last. I think I wound up fifth. I picked up a check that night, but that's what he said.
Well, let me tell you a story I just told last night about Jim Grundy, who before I said was a good, really excellent driver and one of the hardest working guys I know and one of the hardest drinkers I know. But he'd be drunk all night and then still show up and do a full day's work and race all night.
Right.
But what he did to me one day in a race, I lost all respect for him, and I was happy when he left Monticello and went to California. I was in a race and going to the half. Somebody come out right around the quarter pole, or I think they were parked a whole mile. And by the time we got to the half, going to the half, there were two tiers. There were 4 and 4, 4 on the rail, 4 on the outside.
Yeah.
I was sitting third. And my horse started choking really bad, started wheezing, making all kinds of noise. And back then they had a hub rail. I had nowhere to go. So I looked over, and Grundy was right next to me. I says, "Jimmy, let me out. I'm in trouble." He says, "You'll be all right." I says, "Jimmy, let me out. I'm in trouble." And in the meantime, the horse's head is in his chin. He's wheezing. You could hear it. I says, "Jimmy, let me out." And he says, "Just sit right in there. You'll be okay." The next step, the horse dropped, broke his neck, died. All the horses behind me went over me. And after the race, he never apologized, never nothing. And from that point on, I despised him.
No kidding.
I didn't like him at all after that. Prior to that, I had all the respect in the world for him, but no more. Now he's dead. I don't want to say too much about him, but I was glad when he left. Your friend Greg Peck said, "Excellent show," and he also said, "What can you say? You put Larry and Trey together, and what do you think is gonna happen?" Yeah, man. Greg, he's a very, very smart guy. Very, very sharp guy. Yeah,
he is. He's a nice fella. Yeah.
All right, Manny wants to know if you ever met Elvis Presley.
No, I never did. But my partner, who was my first manager, did. He wrote "Wear My Ring Around Your Neck," and he was able to meet Elvis one time. He did. He also met Lennon and McCartney too, but I hadn't. But Listen, I thought I was Elvis at one time when I was 11 or 12 years old, and I thought he was imitating me. Really. I would spend my whole life through loving you, loving you. I'm doing a silly imitation of him, but I used to do him pretty well. I'll tell you that. I used to do him.
Do you play anymore anywhere, or you just pack that in?
No, I didn't pack it in. No, but there's not too many places up here. Yeah, I love using a real live piano. I mean, I could do my act with just guitar, but piano was fuller. He used to sit at the piano with me, remember? And I love playing the piano and singing. And I remember when I used to do MacArthur's Park, when I used to play Sonia Doro, a couple of mob guys used to come in, always give me $100 to do MacArthur's Park for them because nobody did MacArthur's Park except for me, you know. And I would do the piano and the singing and everything. And I mean, it's a tough song. It's a tough song for somebody to get through unless they're really.
I think Sinatra did a version of it, but he left 3/4 of it out. He just did.
He just started with "I will take my life into my hands and I will use it." He started with the bridge, but I'm going to have a version up of MacArthur's Park very shortly, so watch for it. Everybody can watch for it.
All right, Manny said trade. Manny says trade. Let me tell you something. That's one of Manny's favorite lines. I gotta incorporate that because it's like for my movie because that's a typical mob saying. Let me tell you something.
Let me tell you something.
He always starts with that. Let me tell you something.
Let me tell you something. Yeah.
Here's what he says. One of my favorite songs is Unchained Melody by Al Hibbler.
Oh, I got a great version of that.
I just listened to your version and wow, is all I could say. That's what he did. He just says he's one. That's how Manny is. Manny is very, very smart, very inquisitive, and he's like a sponge. He wants to learn everything.
I like Manny. I like Manny already. I don't even know.
Well, everybody likes Manny, but so as soon as he heard your name, he must have started looking you up on YouTube, and he heard your song. So you must have a YouTube of Unchained Melody somewhere, because he found it.
Yeah, I do, and also Impossible Dream, and I Wish You Love. A lot of I got songs I don't even remember on.
Yeah, he just said again, what a beautiful version of Unchained Melody.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's different. It opens up. I open up with the bridge on Unchained Melody. Everybody opens up with "Oh, my love, my darling, I've hungered," but I opened up with "Lonely rivers flow to the sea, to the sea." I open up with the bridge, and then I go into the song later on. So I'm glad he liked it. I'm doing Ebb Tide, and it's going to be great too. Ebb Tide, I got a great version of Ebb Tide.
There's one song that I was going to ask you if you would do, and I can't think of the name of it. It was a song Neil Sedaka wrote, and it was a really good song. Oh,
he's a good guy, nice guy, Neil. He's a nice fella.
Oh, geez, what the hell's the name of that song?
Don't take your love away from me.
Not that one. Not that. The song that he did. Every singer did it. It was a great song.
Oh, I know the one. Hungry Years.
Hungry Years. The Hungry Years. What a great song that is.
It is right.
You got to do that song.
I'll do it for you. I get in the next couple of months. I'll do it. I got so many songs I'm working on. Oh my God, man.
That's a great song.
It is. I miss the hungry years. The once upon a time. Yeah.
Lovely long ago.
Yeah.
Really good. Very good. I love that song.
I'm going to do it.
In fact,
I'm going to do it.
In fact, me and Sharman were in the car the other day. Sharman's Alfred Natoli's wife.
Yeah, Sharman's nice. Yeah, she's true. Yeah.
And she, that song came on, and she agreed. That's one of the best songs around. I think I really like it. My all-time favorite song of anything, any place, I saw Sinatra do it with Count Basie, the song "Where or When." And
Uh-huh.
that's my favorite. That's my favorite song. The way he sings it with Count Basie, and in my opinion, I think, and I know nothing at all about music. Somebody could say that guy
It doesn't
sounds.
matter. It doesn't matter. You know, you don't have to know anything about music. I know too much about music, but I'd rather hear what you like than somebody than Henry Mancini or
Didn't you
Andre
think
Previn or
Count
something.
Basie had a good band?
Who?
Count Basie.
Oh, yeah, you kidding? Yeah, sure, yeah.
I love what Sinatra sang with him. But you didn't finish the question I asked. Now, who are
Oh,
the five
okay,
best singers, male and female?
okay, good. As far as I'm concerned, nobody's better than Nat King Cole.
Wow.
Nobody.
That's a guy that didn't even want to sing. They had to force him to sing. He wanted to play the piano.
Yeah, he's a good piano player too, but Nat King Cole is unbelievable. And I would put Perry Como second. Perry, I was always supposed to meet Perry Como because Como was a friend of George Paxton, who was the head of Coed Records. And I was on Coed when Johnny Maestro was on Coed and the Duprees were on Coed. I had my hit record on Coed Records. And he always wanted me to meet Como. And he said Como liked the way he said Como liked the way I sang. I did Hot Diggity. I redid Hot Como did a Hot Diggity, Dog Diggity, Boom, what you do to me. And I did Hot Diggity Dog, Ziggity Boom, what you do to me. And he told George, he says, that kid sings pretty good. He said, I like the way he sang. He did Hot Diggity. Anyway, that's what George told me. But every time I was supposed to go on George's boat, which is in Greenport, Long Island, and Como was supposed to come on, he couldn't make it. And when Como was able to make it, I couldn't make it. So we never got to meet each other. I would have loved to have met Perry Como. Anyway, I would put him number two. You can't really put Sinatra's right with all of them, but I would put Jimmy Roselli in the bunch. Jimmy was a great, great singer. He was almost operatic kind of a singer. I would put Jimmy Roselli in the bunch. Of course, Sinatra is always there with everybody. I would put him with Nat King Cole too, but Nat King Cole I love. And Streisand, who I'm not really that crazy about, said, we got a lot of male singers, a lot of great male singers, but then we got Johnny Mathis. Johnny Mathis is a really, and Nat King Cole was Johnny Mathis' mentor. That's what I've heard. He would be number four. So we got Nat King Cole, Perry Como, Jimmy Roselli, and Johnny Mathis. And number five, I guess I would put Mel Torme in there.
All right. What about the females? I'll tell you my best female.
All right, go ahead. You go ahead. Go ahead.
Ella Fitzgerald,
Right.
Barbara Streisand, Edie Gourmet,
Edie Gourmet was great.
Shirley Bassey,
Shirley Bassey was great. Yes, she was.
and for the girl singer that whatchamacallit hated the most. I'm going to throw her in only because there's a couple of songs that she does that I love, and that's oh God, what's her name? She was Sinatra's neighbor. The girl that the last show she did, she couldn't even breathe with oxygen. What? Oh, gee, she wrote a bunch of songs too. Peggy Lee.
Oh yeah, Peggy Lee was real good. Yeah. In fact, I'm doing Is That All There Is? I'm finishing up. Is that all there is?
Yeah.
Is that all there is? I'm finishing up that Peggy Lee. Well, my friends Lieber and Stoller, I work with a lot. They wrote a lot of Elvis songs. they wrote Is That All There Is? Well, that's a good bunch of people you put together. I would put, listen, I love Ella. She'd be there no matter what. But one of I worked with Cissy Houston a lot in the studio. She sang on some of my jingles, and
They said that she was better than Whitney Houston, her daughter.
she was a hell of a good singer. But Whitney Houston was really top of the line, I'll tell you that. And so is Patti LaBelle. To produce. I was supposed to produce Gladys Knight in the 90s because my manager was handling her. He also handled BB, and he also handled me. And he handled the Temptations too. But he wanted me to produce her, and I wrote a song that she loved, but her husband at the time, he's not her husband anymore. He was a really like a black power guy, and didn't want a white supremacist producing his wife. So I never got to produce her, but I like Gladys Knight a lot.
I remember when Tony Camillo, that she sang "Midnight Train to Georgia,"
Right.
in his studio down there. I was with Tony Camillo when I did one show. Tony Camillo wrote about 30 things for me. I don't know what you call them. When you write music, when you write an
arrangement. He wrote an arrangement.
Wrote about 30 arrangements for me because I was doing a thing with Pat Gallo.
Oh yeah, Pat. Yeah. Pat used to come and see me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another guy that was. I thought he was great. He could have married Shirley Bassey, but he was coked up all the time and drunk.
Yeah.
He ended up abusing her, but I think he could have had. But he was so. And the best thing he ever did was with Bobby DeAndrea when they had that comedy thing together. They were singing and everything.
I didn't know that. I didn't know he would do the thing with Bobby.
Yeah. He was. They were really good, but he was the kind of guy that get off stage and say, "How was I? How was it?" He needed somebody to tell him how good he was, how great he was, and that was sad. And when he was down and out, he was penniless because of the cocaine. I went with him every night for 6 months, and I go to pick him up at his sister's house. He was living with his sister. And I would drive him to whatever job he had. He would sing to the tapes then. No more band. Sing to the tapes.
Right.
And I would set everything up for him and then sit with him until the place closed, like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And then I would take him home. And I did that every night for 6 months until one night he come out of the bathroom and he had a ring around his nose with cocaine. And I told him that I would help. I don't want no money. I would help him get back on his feet, but he had to stop with the cocaine. And he promised me he would. And the night that he come out with the ring on his nose, that was it. He called me the next day. I didn't say nothing that night. The next day he called me and I said, "I'm all done, Pat. I'm all done." And then he couldn't work no more because he couldn't get nobody to help him. He can get somebody to load it from the job, one of the bus boys, but from his sister's house to the car, he couldn't. So then he wound up just playing cards, and then he got cancer, and then they had a benefit for him, and it was sad because he was a good talent, and he was a nice guy, and that was that. A lot of people from that neighborhood made from Pesci all the way down. They became a lot of good singers. Probably the best singers in the world come from Jersey.
Yeah, there were a lot of singers from Jersey. It's true. Listen, he was really very egotistical, Pat. He was a nice guy. I met him. He came into Sonia Doro a couple of times to see me. He wanted to do a duo with me. He said, I want to do a thing with you because, you sing good and you play piano. And, he wanted me to be his accompanist, and I'm not an accompanist. I'm not going to accompany anybody. Myself, I do, but I don't consider myself a piano player. And I used to get piano players used to come in, and then real piano players used to come in and say to me, because I used to say, listen, I'm not really a piano player. I'm an arranger. I learned piano through arranging, and I'm really a guitar player, and I'm a good guitar player. But they say, I wish I couldn't play piano like you can't play piano. They used to say that to me. I really wasn't really a good piano player. But
You ever get into the country western stuff?
oh yeah, I got a lot of country western stuff on YouTube. Check my stuff, country and western stuff out. Yeah, I got a lot of good country and western stuff out. In fact, you know who my top singer is, country singer, and he should be on my list of male vocalists. I mean, nobody sings better country than Marty Robbins. Marty Robbins is
Oh, the guy's dead.
yeah, but he was unbelievable, unreal, great stuff.
They say that George Jones was the best, but I like
George was very excellent. Yeah,
I like that new guy. I like that guy now that they said is the best. He sings that one song that he didn't write it, but he sings it. Hootin' Scootin' something, I don't know, something like that. He does a great job, but that's like the genre that's really hot right now. I think even I think that's the hottest music now is country western. I think
it is, and you know why, Larry? Because country western is probably the only the country western stations in the United States are probably the only place that I could get a record played on a terrestrial radio station. The other radio stations, they're playing rap, they're playing all different kinds of stuff. But the country stations stay with the country stuff, and it's a lot of the country stuff is very rock oriented. In fact, I have a new song that's coming out. It's called "If It's Not Real Country, It's Not For Me," and it's real country. It has a steel guitar in it. Excuse me, and that doesn't make it country just because it has a steel guitar in it. But it's if it's not real country, it's not for me. It sounds real country.
You know what's a shame? I'll tell you what's a shame. And I feel bad for him because Alfred is a real good friend of mine with his wife.
Yeah,
it's just like they love music. And Alfred had a great band too in the '60s. He was on Ed Sullivan, the whole bit. He wrote that song for Sinatra.
Yeah.
Well, for the last couple of years, and I find this so hard to believe, but I believe it because I live it. I see him almost every day. He wrote that song for Sinatra. Here's to the band. The first that it was ever written for the to give tribute to the band.
Right.
And then all the top guys, Sammy Davis sang it, Liza Minnelli sang it. So anyway, now there's very few people that could do it because in the song it says I sang with all the counts, the dukes, the kings, and the earls, and somebody. I went from neighborhood saloons to Carnegie Hall. So not everybody could sing that song and really and really live it like they live it.
Right.
And he's looking. He spent a lot of money because the people in Tennessee or wherever they have country music, Louisiana or wherever that main street is where it's all country, he sent 2 records down there, 2 songs. One was Here's to the Band, and one was It's Getting Late. And he paid for a country western song because they wouldn't even consider it unless every musician come from down there.
Uh-huh.
They're nuts like that. And he come up with great. And then he tried to get somebody like Willie Nelson to sing Here's to the Band. But Willie Nelson already made a deal with Sinatra to sing with Sinatra people to sing all Sinatra songs, the low key songs. But there's a lot of country western singers that are major stars. And he paid money to people down there to get this song. Now here's a song that it was the last single Sinatra ever sang, and he was going to name his last album Here's to the Band, But then Quincy Jones come with his L.A. is My Lady, and Quincy Jones and him are like father and son, Sinatra. So he did Quincy Jones' thing, and he didn't do his to the band. So, but I can't believe he can't get anybody to sing that song. A famous country singer that went from neighborhood saloons to Carnegie Hall, and he sang with all the counts, the dukes, the queens, and the earls.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. And then he sang this song. I want you to hear it.
Okay.
I'm gonna play it.
Tell Manny, ask Manny to get, if he could get my song so you could hear it and everybody could hear it. You Are My Audience, the one song that Sinatra almost recorded of mine before he passed away.
Well, how would he get it? There's no way for me to play it on here.
Well, it's on YouTube. You know, that's all. It's on YouTube.
Well, Manny, I'm sure Manny hears what you're saying, but for me to get something to play on here, there's some kind of diversion that has to happen. It got to go on an MP or an M4, and then somebody's got to put it on here. I don't know how to do that.
Don't worry about that. You don't have to worry about that now. I want you to hear it later on.
I will hear it, but I want you to hear this song.
All right.
And I think this is one of the best songs that he wrote. Where the hell is it now? Here it is. Listen to it's a song for guys like our age, you know, and I just think I love the song. Here it is.
Dump those grudges, ditch those judges. They're just weighing you down. Drop the haters, procrastinators, 'cause one man's smile is just another one's frown. When it's time for the end, ain't no warning, my friend. One day you're here, next stop the pearly gates. So listen close to what I'm saying. Lighten up, it's getting late. Dump collections, self-reflections, they're just covered in dust. Why obsess, worry or stress? Just ask yourself, what's the fuss? When your doctor calls you on a Sunday afternoon, gonna be a blue Monday, you'll be howling at the moon. You know you never can cheat fate. Lighten up, it's getting late. Forget bling and glitter, text and Twitter. Don't need it to make my case. Say it old school, face to face. Dump the users, soul abusers, turn and walk away. Give yourself a kick in the ass, then raise your glass. Let's toast to the past and make the most of today. Keep the faith, rise above, do the things that you love. Find a reason every day to celebrate. So listen close to what I'm saying. Lighten up, it's getting late. Live it well, have a blast. Live it full, life goes fast. You're carrying around too much dead weight. All the simple things are all that matter. Lighten up, it's getting late. Oh, what the hell? IGL. Oh, lighten up, it's getting late.
I think
Nice.
it's a great song. What do you think?
Nice. I like it. He's a good writer. He's a good writer, man. Both of
I,
them.
he can't get nobody to sing "Here's to the Band" or that song. That was sent from Nashville. All Nashville musicians and the Nashville. I guess he's a studio vocalist or whatever.
Right.
Can't get nobody to sing, no famous guy to sing it. I don't know. I don't know.
It sounds like a natural for a big artist to sing. Yeah.
But
Same thing with "Here's to the Band." It's too bad Willie Nelson would be perfect for it.
yeah, but
He's not. He's not recording now anymore. I don't think he's really winding down, really.
no.
But that's a nice. That's almost like the guy that sang "My Friends in the Low Places." Who's the guy that did that? I forget.
Oh yeah, the country, yeah. Yeah, I forgot. I know who you mean. I just don't know their names.
Yeah. Sounds perfect for him. Yeah.
But you can't get to none of these guys. You can't reach them. It's impossible.
They don't want it. You know what it is. They don't want to. They don't want to record a guy. They as long as you don't belong in Nashville unless you really live and prove yourself in Nashville.
Yeah.
Like years ago, when I recorded for RCA Victor, which was in the mid '60s, and RCA wanted to hire me as one of the A&R men. Also, besides being a singer for them, they said they wanted me to be one of their A&R men. They had 5 A&R men in New York, and they wanted me to be one of them. And they offered me a pretty big salary, but I was making more money already than the salary they wanted to give me. But at that time, I spoke to Chet. Chet Atkins was the head of RCA down in Nashville. And Chet wanted me to go. A friend of mine at April Blackwood Music, introduced me to Chet on the phone. And we started chatting, and I talked to Chet a couple of times. Chet wanted me to come to Nashville. He said, come down to Nashville. He said, and we'll record down here, and you could record down here, still for RCA Victor like you're doing, and then you'll get a couple of artists, and you'll produce a couple of artists down here. He says, because I like your stuff. You like my stuff. And he knew I was a guitar player, too. I mean, I didn't play like Chet. He was a fingerstyle player, great guitarist, and a nice fella. What a nice fella on the phone. And that's how I met him, but only on the phone. I never spoke to him. And we didn't have a Zoom at that time where I could, speak to him in person, like you and I are speaking on camera, back and forth. But anyway, he wanted me to come down there. He says, come down. He said, I know you're an arranger and a producer and you're a guitarist. He said, you'll do some sessions down here and they'll love you down here. And I almost decided to go down there in the 70s. And then I changed my mind. I was going to almost relocate there. I was doing too well in New York.
Trade, I got a couple of questions here.
Sure.
People said, and by the way, Greg Peck said Low Places was Garth Brooks.
That's it. Garth Brooks, Low Places. That's the guy. Yeah.
Greg, he knows everything about everything.
He's sharp with the, he knows the country stuff a lot. He does. He knows a lot of stuff. And that song sounds like something for Garth Brooks. That song.
Is he still singing, Garth Brooks? I thought he was.
Yeah. No, he's still singing. Sure he is. Yeah.
All right, let's get to some of these. Greg Peck here, he asked another question. Trade, did a great job on George Jones, He Stopped Loving Her Today, and That's Not Easy to Sing. You sang that song?
Yeah, I did. Yes, I did. I didn't release it yet, but it's one of my favorites. In fact, when I first heard that song, well, same thing with The Gambler, with Kenny Rogers, The Gambler. I was on my way to this place called Krajewski's in Secaucus, Charlie's Corner. And I learned a song pretty quickly. You know, I could go out and listen to it in the car and then come back and then sing it. So I'm on the way to Charlie Krajewski, and I started singing. He started loving. She stopped loving him today. He stopped loving her today. And they thought it was my record. They said, "Is that your record?" I said, "No, no, no, it's George Jones," because they had not heard it yet, and I had heard it, and they thought it was my record because I was singing it. But then they heard it and they knew it was Tom Jones. Jones later on, but that was funny. Yeah, it's a good.
Let me go through a couple of these real quick. A couple of guys couple of people want your opinion on a couple of. William wants to know what you think about Paul Anka.
Oh, I know Paul. Paul is great. You know, I know Paul for a long time. He's a really good guy. Paul Anka's terrific.
All right. How about Karen Carpenter? William wants to know.
I love Karen Carpenter. I never met her. I like her smooth voice, and I like their records. She was on A&M Records, and she was really great. It's a shame what happened to her. You know, she was great.
Manny says, how come you never mentioned Roy Orbison? He was a talented singer and songwriter.
Only the lonely. I have that record and never released it. I recorded it and haven't released it. I have a good record on it. Nothing I do, it's not bad. It's a great record, but nothing I do is as good as the original. You know, and I realize that. Guys think they're doing a song and they think they're going to get it better than the original. And I said, listen, forget it. The original is etched in the brains of all the big fans, and it's a great record. Roy Orbison made that was one of his very first big hits, and it was a great record. And my record's very good, very respectable, but it's not as good as Roy's. And guys think that oh man, my record's better than. It's never better than the original. Like I did Daddy's Home, and I got a great version of Daddy's Home, Shep and the Limelights. Shep's version is better. I have a couple of guys say, "Oh no, your version is great." I said, "It's good. No, I know my version is always. I do a good version of the song, but it's not as good as the original version." Anyway, Roy Orbison was always great. I love Just Running Scared. I like that one. I did Crying. I released Crying. I believe I have Crying. Crying over you. That's song, yeah.
William wants to know, Trey, did you ever work in the Brill building? Any good stories?
I was in the Brill building every day. I was in the Brill building every day. You kidding? You know, I was, Lieber and Stoller was in the Brill building. Burt Bacharach, my buddy, was in the Brill building. All of those, all the big guys. Bert Burns was in the Brill building. They were all in the Brill. Everybody was in the Brill building. And that, of course, I know the Brill building like the back of my hand.
Manny says, Manny must have been Googling you. He says, Trade, you composed for Simon Burke, another one of my favorite songs, Cried to Me.
Solomon Burke. I played guitar on that record. Yeah. Cry to Me. My buddy Bert Burns wrote that song and produced Solomon Burke, and I was on the session. Bert Burns also wrote, arranged, and produced the Isley Brothers' Twist and Shout, which I played guitar on that record also. You know, played guitar on a lot of big hit records. I was very lucky.
They say this, and this was a sad story I heard. Alfred made a movie, and in the movie he had Joe Long in the movie. It was just about all the guys. It was a round table with all the people that played in his band and other bands. Anyway.
Joe used to play with the Seasons.
Yeah.
On the road. Yeah.
Say that Joe Long was the second best left-handed guitar player in the country. I forget who said. I think it was the guy from the Beatles said that.
Really?
Yeah, that and they tried to they and you know that Joe Long, Alfred tried to help him a lot. When they were doing the Jersey Boys, Joe Long filled in because they needed a bass player, and Joe Long they hired Joe Long, and he saved them, and he was with them for like 10 years or something, long time. And they shut him out of the Jersey Boys. You believe that? They just shut him out.
No
And
kidding.
Alfred tried to get him, a piece of the action, and they tried to shut Tommy DeVito out, who started
Tommy DeVito started
4 seasons, and they tried to shut him out. And the lawyer says, "How could you shut that? He started this whole thing. How could you shut him?" But because Frankie Valli bought him out, and paid all his loans off to the Charlottes and and then they gave him $100,000. He went to Vegas. I was with his daughter the other day, about a week ago.
Yeah,
daughter and her 2 sons, and they have a book that was written, and we were talking, and I think they want to produce a movie. What happened before and after the Jersey Boys, and they have a book or something. They have it all written down, and I told them that I can get a pitch deck done for them, and so maybe something like that will happen. But I can't believe it. Why do people that are worth 30, 40, 50 million dollars and have the biggest show? I can't believe it. It's the biggest earning show on Broadway in the history of Broadway.
I know.
And they're looking to shut a guy Joe Long, who's dying of cancer. He's dead now. He just died. A great guitar player, saved them when they needed a bass player, and they wouldn't even give him a taste. They wouldn't give him a piece, and the lawyers had to beg them guys, Frankie Valli and them, to give Tommy DeVito his end. It's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. And how much money does Frankie Valli want? The guy's like 92 years old. He has 54 stents in him. He's on stage. I'm sure he's lip syncing now, but why? Is it that? I could probably understand if he says it's just in my blood. I have to be up there. I understand that, but Jesus Christ, 92, he could just about walk. He can't sing. How much money do you want? And
how much money do they need? It's just like almost like I hate to bring up politics, but it's almost like Pelosi. How much money does she need?
Yeah,
or her husband need? Really? I mean, come on now. I mean, really.
Your friend is asking a question here.
Any question? I love questions. Go ahead.
All right. Well, here's Freddie Hudson. Freddie Hudson wants to know about Tiny Tim.
I never met Tiny Tim.
All right.
No.
Howard Lieberman. Here's the guy. Howard, I hope you're doing well. This poor guy has cancer, and he got his results back from a bunch of tests, and the tests weren't good, but I think he's trying something else. Anyway, Howard says Jay Black had some voice.
Oh, yeah. I knew Jay and the guys and the Jay and the Americans. Yeah. Jay was great. Yeah. It's a shame. He was a nice guy. He was good on stage too. He was a really very outspoken guy.
And
but the original voice who did She Cried was Jay Traynor. He was before Jay Black. I don't know if he knows that. But Jay Traynor was the original voice on the original first hit record that the Jay and the Americans had, which was She Cried.
Well, Howard also says Jay Black had a gambling problem.
Lost. Oh,
yeah. He's a lot of people. I heard that Gladys Knight lost $30-40 million.
Really?
Gambling. Yeah. I have a list here someplace of all the people that lost millions and millions of dollars gambling.
Besides Hervey for Young. Besides Hervey.
Opening day, Atlantic City, he lost $3 million.
No kidding.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, Steve says he was a degenerate gambler. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. One for me. Larry, me and my friend were with Mickey Hart yesterday, and you didn't know who he was. Ask Trade Martin if he knows who. Who's Mickey Hart?
I know the name, but I don't know who it is. I heard the name, but I don't know who it is. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Tell him to ask him who it is. What did he do?
Who is it? Manny, type in. I know he types slow. Type in who Mickey Hart was. Who Mickey Hart is. Let me see. I went through these questions real quick. Let's see. Let's see. Greg Peck says, Larry, your song is really great. It should be recorded by a top country artist. Yeah, we're trying. Nobody wants to do it. But you know what? I think what you said is true, Trade. Once they know that you're from New Jersey,
Yeah,
it ain't gonna work.
they want you to pay your dues. They want you to be down in Nashville. That's why Chet wanted me to be down in Nashville. He said, "Come down here." He said, "You'll be great down here." He said, "They'll love you down here." He said, "You got to relocate down here." And tell Greg I'm going to send him a song. I'm going to send him a song of mine that he's going to love. I'll send it to you also. It's kind of a jazzy Tony Bennett kind of a song, but I'm going to send it to you and Greg. It's about getting up in age, and it's
Steve Basile says Frankie Valli. I know nothing about this stuff, but Steve says Frankie Valli's singing "Don't Think Twice" is on par with Jay Black's range. Is that true? I don't even know what that means.
it's not like comparing oranges with a screwdriver. It's you can't really compare them. You know.
So what's on the agenda for you for the rest of your life? You're just going to stay up where you moved to and just record and record?
And I'm thinking about and I'm thinking about getting a yearling or two. How about that?
My God. Why would you do that?
And breaking them from scratch, like I did with a number of horses, because I don't want anybody else's problems. If I want problems, I'll give them my own problems. But I want to start. I got the itch. And my son John, who's a good little driver, was down in Ocean City last week, and he said to my granddaughter, we were on the phone, we're talking, and he goes, yeah, he goes, he's telling my granddaughter while we were on the phone, he goes, yeah, that's how we found Ocean City. From my father was racing at Ocean Downs, and I loved Ocean Downs. And when I went down to Ocean Downs, it was like, they thought I was like from outer space. They said, they were talking like, oh, this guy's from New York. You got to watch him. He's really good. You got to watch him. I was a nobody. I used to drive one race a week, you know. But I won a couple of races down there, and Roscoe Rogers was down there at the time, and he wound up marrying Bobby Cherrick's wife, Peggy Cherrick's, and I played at the wedding. I went to the wedding, and I did a couple of songs at the wedding. We had a lot of fun. But Ocean City was great. So he reminded me of that. And I'm saying to myself, I'm getting the itch to drive. I'm getting the itch to drive. I really am. I'm getting the itch to drive. I'm not afraid to get on the racetrack. I might get killed. My manager used to say to me, what the hell are you doing? You're going to get hurt. He goes, you got a big career ahead of you, and you're going to get hurt in a stupid race. I said, listen, I'd rather be racing for money rather than go skiing and get hurt like Sonny Bono did. I said, I'd rather get hurt in a race trying to win some money.
I told Manny, that's the guy that's, in fact, Manny just answered you. Mickey Hart is with the Grateful Dead. He was.
I see. Yeah, no, I didn't know that. Okay.
Manny has some horses with oh God, my mind is gone. Snickter, Ray Snickter.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Manny was thinking of getting an amateur driver's license, And I says, look, if that, just like you just said, if that's what you want to do, just like that song
Absolutely.
says, it's getting late. Do it. It's getting late. In the meantime, Gregory Peck writes to you, Trade. Trade, what do you think about Engelbert for a great singer?
Oh, he's a terrific singer. You can, but I like Tom Jones a lot better than Engelbert. But that's
Is it true they have the same manager?
they used to years ago. My manager, Sidney, who managed me and Beebe and Gladys Knight and the Temptations and all those guys, um, was very tight with Engelbert and Tom Jones' manager. This is in the 60s and the 70s. He passed away now, Sidney Seidenberg. But they did have the same manager at one time. I don't think they have now, but Engelbert is great. I think he's great. He'd sing that song great for Alfredo's song. He'd sing Alfredo's song well.
Yeah, but how the hell do you get to these guys?
It's very difficult to get to anybody.
But you know what happened after Alfred not only wrote the song for Sinatra, but Sinatra was a Lionel train freak. He had all the
Yeah, I heard about that. I had heard about that. Yeah, go ahead, tell me.
He had all the Lionel trains except for two. He couldn't find them no place. That was the only two missing in his collection that he had for 60, 70 years.
No
Well,
kidding.
it just so works out that Alfred's uncle was a big shot at Lionel trains. So he calls him up, and his uncle had a whole set, and he gave Alfred them two trains. And there's a picture. I should have put it up. I didn't know we were going to talk about it. But there's a picture that Sinatra took with Alfred handing him the two trains.
No kidding.
And he wrote him a real nice letter. And then he said to Alfred, listen, you write any more songs and write them for whoever you want. And whenever they do a show, whether it's Jack Jones, Steve Lawrence, Tom Jones, Engelbert, any of them guys, you go backstage, told them I sent you, and hand them the song. And he did. And you know what each one of them said? And it was true. He says, I have no recording contract. Back then, I have no recording contract. None of them had a recording contract at that time, whenever it was. Right. I guess maybe rap was coming in or whatever, and that kind of music was going out. And each one, I think Engelbert was the last one to tell him that. And it's just sad that them guys like yourself were born to do what they love, like you, and there's no place for it no more. You just have to do it for self-satisfaction, almost, I think.
Well, but they nowadays everybody starts their own label, and I have my own label. But I mean, I had a label in the early '60s, and in '61, where I discovered the Earls, Larry Chance and the Earls. They were on my label on Rome Records. But everybody has their own label now. They don't deal with the big labels anymore, but they have their own labels. And you can get a record out easier on your own than you can through a big label now. But that's what everybody's doing now. But I think at the time you're talking about then is when everybody was like at a standstill. We don't have a label.
Here's a stupid question, because this question is equivalent to somebody asking me, who do you like better? Who would you put on your horse? Ronnie Pierce or Billy O'Donnell? I mean, to me, that's a stupid question. I can't answer that question. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you a question. Why do you like Tom Jones more than Engelbert? What reason?
Well, I think he's got a bigger range. He's got a more distinctive quality in his voice, and I just think he's a much better singer than Engelbert, even though Engelbert is a good, like, baritone kind of a singer, like a generic kind of a singer, but he does have a style. But Tom Jones puts a lot of guys away. as far as singing. He puts a lot of guys away. He'd be on my top 5 list. I should have put him in on the top 5 list. You know?
Well, I still like Sinatra.
Oh yeah, well you can't beat Sinatra. Yeah, it's impossible. He's just got that laid back, great style. You know, he was very scared of Jimmy Roselli, who only lived a couple of blocks away from him. But when he heard Jimmy Roselli, I mean, he was like Jimmy Roselli is like Pavarotti. You know, I mean, Jimmy Roselli is.
Do you know that I went with Danny LeMago and Betty to Atlantic City to see Jimmy Roselli? He used to play there once a year.
Yeah.
And after the show, we met with him, and he wanted to sell me his whole library for $3 million. And I don't know. I mean, he don't own none of them songs. I don't know what do you buy for $3 million. I mean, same thing with I don't know. And the same thing when I met with Joni James. I met with Joni James.
Really? Yeah, Joni James. Yeah.
Yeah, she was married to some wise guy, and it was through a wise guy that he says, there's a friend of mine I want you to meet. She saw you once. She wants to meet you. And I says, who is it? Joni James. He didn't know that I knew Joni James, only for her music, that I love music. And I knew she sang a million songs.
Right.
And I met with her, and she wanted me to be her manager. But it was the same time, like, that kind of music was over now. What am I going to do? I didn't know. But she was a great lady. She used to write to me all the time, and they told me that, and I have no idea if this is true, but they told me that her biggest problem, it used to drive all the guys when she made her. She would always sing off key, and I don't know if that's true or not. But
oh, really? Yeah, I didn't know that.
That's what they say. But she was a really nice lady, and there was a period of time when she sang a lot of. She was
a hot singer at the time. Yeah. At the time.
And the other singer that I really like, and I think she played second to Barbara Streisand in Mame and all of them things, Lainey Kazan.
Yeah.
I think she's great, but nobody ever hears of her because she was always second to Barbara Streisand.
Barbara's too squeaky for me. She's got a really great instrument. She does, but she's too squeaky. She's like an oboe. She sounds like an oboe being squeezed in a between a book. I'm not really a big Barbara fan.
Manny writes another thing. He says, wow, Tom Jones, absolutely amazing. Lonnie Donegan gave him one number one hit, I'll Never Love Again. So
Lonnie Donegan wrote that? Yeah, Lonnie Donegan wrote that. I didn't know that.
Well, if Manny said it, Manny.
Sure he knows. Yeah. Getting back to Jimmy Roselli, Al Certo in Secaucus. You know Al, right?
Who?
You know Al Certo.
Oh yeah.
Now, he was at the thing when we did the Sinatra versus Jimmy Roselli, when me and Dennis did that thing. And
yes.
He was there that night, and you came with Danny LeMago.
Yeah.
Anyway, my mob friend, great guy, Patty D'Elia, used to be one of the muscle guys with the mob, very tight with Jimmy Roselli, wanted me to meet Jimmy, and Jimmy was at Al Certo's place, and Jimmy was like a real wise guy, I'm sure you knew, because you met him too. So Patty goes, Jimmy, I want you to meet Trade Martin. And Jimmy goes, hey, Trade. He said, when are you going to use me on your next commercial? That's what he said to me. I remember it like it was yesterday. That's what he first said to me. I said, Jimmy, I don't cast the commercials. They ask me to do the music, and I do the music, and I might sing it, but they don't ask me to cast other people in the thing. I said, but you never know. I said, I did a thing with Julius LaRosa. I said, but I didn't recommend Julius. The agency got Julius to sing it. I didn't get Julius to sing the thing. But if something comes up, I'll let you know. He said, okay, yeah, use me on your next commercial.
Let me tell you about Jimmy Roselli.
Go ahead.
There was a 2 weeks, I think it was 2 weeks straight. Billy Eckstein was singing at the Copa, and opening for Billy Eckstein was a singer who I met at the Concord. I thought she was one of the best singers I ever heard in my life. Her name was Jackie Forrest.
I remember that name. Yeah, okay.
She was great. She got out of the business because her father was with the Jewish mob, and he used to get her in all the clubs. She wanted to do it on her own, and he was the one that put her in the Rainbow Room and put her in all these big plays. And she was so mad that she wound up quitting the business. But she was great. So anyway, she was opening for Billy Eckstein at the Copa, and I used to go to the Copa a lot. And I knew, and that's where I met Tony Lip, Valalago's father, and Carmine was the maitre d' with Tony Lip. So I'm sure you've been in a Copa. They have the main floor where all the tables are, where where the entertainers go, and then you go up 2 or 3 steps, and then there's 2 big pillows and 2 big round tables on each side of the steps on the room, and I as soon as I walk in, $100, and Carmine gave me that table, and I told him, I says, anytime, because everybody would want to sit downstairs on the small tables, all the wise guys, and I just sat in the back. So I says, look, if any night you ever need this table, just let me know. Just find me a table someplace, because I'm sitting at this big 6-seater by myself. And then when she got off, she would come and sit with me and watch Billy Eckstein. So anyway, Carmine comes to me one night and he says, I got Jimmy Roselli upstairs with a couple of people. Would you mind if I give him this table? And I says, no, not at all. I said, bring him down, and let's just find a place for me. So he's bringing Jimmy down, and he introduces me, and Jimmy says, no, stay there, join us, stay there. Okay, so at the end of the night, he asks for the check, and he pays the check, but he don't pay my check. I have one drink. He didn't pay the check. You take the guy's table, my table, sit there all night. No, I'm not drinking, and not pay my check, and then just say, good night, Larry. Thank you very much. How do you do? But they said he was very cheap. He used to hang out at Mott's, that mob guy.
Yeah, Mott's, of course. I knew Mott's. Yeah.
He used to hang out at his place all the time, and he used to get drunk, and he used to sing in the streets and everything. But you knew Mott's? He had horses at Freehold with oh God, what's that trainer's name? Good guy. Oh God, he died too.
My buddy Ralph Morano?
No, not Ralph. Oh geez, I forgot his name.
Jack Quinn?
No, he was a big guy who had a son. Oh God, I forgot. But he's a good guy. But Mott used to come to the track maybe once or twice a week with his entourage, and I used to go hang out at his bar, and that's where they had that place wiretapped, and that's when they were gonna made the plans to kill Gotti. That's where it was in that place. But Mott was a really nice guy, always dressed up with a suit and tie and a hat all the time, no matter how hot it was or anything.
He liked me. He was very friendly with Patty D'Elia, the guy that was with Patty. Yeah.
I almost had the trainer's name too. Oh, jeez.
You'll think of it when you're not thinking of it.
Yeah, yeah. So let's see if any. Let's see. Greg Peck. Trade. How about Dionne Warwick for female singers? Whitney Houston's aunt.
I never worked on Dionne Warwick's session, but I knew Burt Bacharach, and I knew Dee Dee Warwick was her sister. She was a great singer. She was more of an R&B singer, but Dionne Warwick was terrific at the time when she did her stuff. Really great.
Eric Cherry started Dionne Warwick with that psychic line, with the Dionne Warwick psychic line. Remember that?
Yeah, sure I do. Yeah.
And he told me that Dionne Warwick made more money with that psychic line that Eric created than she did in her whole career as a singer.
Yeah, well, I got news here. I don't know if Eric does. I'm not sure Eric knows about this, but way before she she did the psychic line, we had started a psychic line with a very rich guy. He was he was a partner of mine in a publishing company, but he's very good. He wrote Impossible Dream, and he owned the show. He owned the show with the big actor, Yul Brynner. He owned the big show with him, the Broadway show. His name was it escapes me now. I'm getting like you, Larry. You're you're affecting my consciousness.
I know, and my memory pills are not working, by the way. So go ahead. I just
what do you take memory pills? What pill do you take memory wise?
Oh, it starts with a C. I don't know. I went to the doctor about 2 months ago, and he says Medicaid asked me to give you a test, something like that. So I says, all right. So I said, what do I have to do? He says, all right, just sit down here. I'm gonna talk to you and ask you a few questions. And so he says, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell you 5 words. I want you to remember them. So he tells me the 5 words: car, key, run, jump, this, that. And he says, you got them? I says, yeah. So then he talks to me for another 10 minutes about this and about this and about this. And after 15 minutes of talking to me, he says, okay, now, what were the 5 words I told you? The fuck do I know? I don't remember. You told me them 15 minutes ago. I don't know. And then he started asking me questions about the story he told me. And he says, after the test, he says, you failed every one. He says, you got a problem. So he sent me for ultrasound on my veins here. He thought wasn't getting enough blood to my head.
Yeah.
And anyway, he sent me for these pills. I got them downstairs. I got to take them every day for 3 months, and then I got to do a test again. But I told her, I says, Doc, I'm 85 years old. I mean, what the fuck? I remember where the bathroom is. Maybe I have to use my navigation to get home from the diner sometimes, but I'm okay. It's like when I got my both knees done. I got my 2 knees done. I was 82 when I got my 2 knees done. Now, after it's all done and everything, and I'm able to walk by myself and everything else, they send a guy over with a big box with two braces in it, and they says, okay, your right leg don't straighten out completely. It's like straight. It's like this. Instead of being straight, it's like a little bit like this.
Has a bow.
It's but very slight. I says, it's been like that since I got in a wreck in 1961 at Yonkers. It's been like that my whole life. Why, when I'm to death, why does it have to be straight now? But they put it on and they crank it. It hurts like hell. So I don't know why I told this story, but anyway, I forget. Sometimes I forget in the middle of middle of the thing. Anyway, Manny says Sinatra's last words before he died was, "I'm why I'm losing it." Yeah, I heard that his wife was at his side and she says, "How you doing?" And he says, "I'm losing." That's what he said. I'm losing.
Really? Wow.
And I'm surprised that I heard that she never even notified the kids that he was in that bad a shape. But I'm also surprised that the kids didn't visit him every day. So
Of course, at that point, yeah, sure.
I don't understand that. So
Tell Manny to listen to my "You Are My Audience," "You Are My Audience" record on YouTube. And Sinatra was going to record it. It's a long story.
well, I'm
You
sure.
Are My Audience. Tell him to listen for it.
I'm sure Manny heard that. Let's see what this says. That's true, Manny, but I can't tell you how many six-figure horses okay, they're talking about horses. Because back here, Steve said something about it. I think here it is here. I wasn't going to mention this, but because I know you're not going to pay attention to it. Steve Basile said, "Trade. Let someone else pay for the break yearling. Pay the expenses to get him to the races, then claim the horse for $25,000. So many sharp trainers and owners make a fortune using this formula." Well, let me read that because I screwed it up. Let someone else pay for the yearling, break him, pay the expenses to get him to the races, then claim the horse for $25,000. So many sharp trainers. Well, trades. I can tell you this. Trade Martin's not going to do that. Trade Martin don't need the 25,000. He don't need the horse. Whatever he does with the horse, he's doing it for self-satisfaction because he wants to do it.
Right.
He don't need any money. He don't need anybody to break his horses. He breaks his own. He can do it all by himself. So he's in good shape, and he's not looking to make a fortune. I believe he already has one. He's in pretty good shape. So that's I passed that question, but I just went back to him.
That's an interesting concept, but the reason why I broke a number of horses, as you have. I know you have too, but I broke a number of horses myself, and usually I'm very calm with horses, and they usually really get very, very good with me. In fact, I don't like getting too close to horses because I start falling in love with them. You know, it's almost like falling in love with a dog. I have two poodles now, toy poodles. If I lose them, I may want to kill myself. I mean, they're such great companions for me and my wife that we love them. But I get too close to the horses. But I want to break the horse, or probably just one horse, on my own because I want to teach them my own manners, what I like. And that's what they learn from the person who's teaching them. I don't like to be rough with a horse. I see guys that are too rough with horses, and they wind up getting them. They're so nervous that the horses are they see the guy and they're just shaking right away. I don't like that. I want them to be confident around me, and that's why I want to break it myself.
Is your son going to help you? What's your son doing?
My son will help me with him. Yeah, my son is retired now, and he's probably going to move to South Carolina. You know, he's going to sell his house in Middletown and move to South Carolina, and that's not going to be good for me, but there's nothing I can do about it, you know.
He's married, right?
Oh, yeah, sure, he's married and have a beautiful granddaughter.
Why does he want to move to South Carolina?
He says he thinks it's better down there. The schools and everything, he thinks it's better down in South Carolina.
Well, up where you are, it's almost like South Carolina, except for the winter.
I don't know about that. It's kind of infiltrated with people from where I come from, which is the New York metropolitan area. A lot of them are up here. I meet people. I said, "Where are you from?" So, "I'm from Long Island." "Oh, okay." And "Where are you from?" "I'm from the Bronx." Then nobody's really from up here. It's unbelievable.
Where would you break the horses? Where you are by
Well,
Pope?
I would go. I have a friend that has like 50 acres. He's going to set up his place. He's not a horseman, but he wants a farm. And I told him I would hope that he would be able to put at least a third of a mile track on his acreage, and he's considering it. He said he would love to do that because he'd like to get a horse himself, you know.
No,
But
so
or up by where Alex is at a farm. That's about a half hour from me.
yeah, but Trade, you got to be careful. I mean, you're not, you're
Oh,
not.
I know. We're not at the age where we can fall down
Yeah,
and recover real quick. I understand
Yeah.
that. And I almost had a couple of big accidents in a couple of races, but I was lucky. And I only want trotters anyway. I don't want to deal with pacers with hobbles, and I don't want to deal with hobbles.
well, I don't. The only horses I ever remember you having was trotters. I don't
Yeah,
ever.
that's all I had that's all I broke from scratch with trotters. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know how to balance them real well. I mean, it's almost like they're almost like music to me. Trotters are almost musical to me, and that's why I I adhere to them a lot. And Harry Pinal was really great. He loved music too. He was like you. He loved music. He loved when I brought my guitar to the barn. He used to sing some songs. He loved it.
While you're jogging a horse, I'll bet you're jogging a horse 5 miles. So that's about a half hour. You could just write a song to the hoofbeats. Boom, boom, boom,
A
boom.
lot of times I used to. I used to. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very good. Well,
Yeah.
Trey, we've been gone now for 2.5 hours.
Were we?
Now,
I didn't realize.
We could go on for another 2.5 or end it right now, and you can come back anytime you want. You just let me know.
It's up to you, Larry. It's your show.
Oh, I don't care. I don't care. It makes no difference to me, Trey. I just don't want to end the show because it's very rare that you do these things, and I'm honored that you asked to come on here. And
No, it's great. I love your show, and I love talking to you. Of course, you and I have been friends.
So many things to talk about, and so many areas that we could really get into in depth. But we'll be here until Sunday, So I don't know. The last time I know that you called me up and you asked me that you were doing a friend a favor. You were going to do some kind of thing in a restaurant or something. But that's when I had the problem I had. I was in the hospital, so I couldn't come. But I don't think I ever missed one thing when you called me to come.
You always came to see me, Larry, and I always appreciated that. That was really great.
And the guy next to me always used to be Benny Webster most of the time. He couldn't wait to leave the Meadowlands and get to his car and run because there was a time you played at a lot of clubs right around the Meadowlands.
Right.
And he couldn't wait to get there. He used to say, "You going over there tonight?" "Yep." And he'd beat me there all the time. He was something nonstop. He was. There's a lot of them guys that I miss a lot, and what the sad part is to see how they wind up. To see how a guy that was the life of the party, everybody loved him. He loved everybody, helped everybody, and then to see him wheeled in a wheelchair, and
I know.
it was so sad.
It's like, listen, Carmine Abatello was a great guy, and now he's really up in age, and Eric takes care of him, and he's.
They said he's doing a little bit better now. Is that true? Do you hear anything?
Well, I just see stuff on Facebook about him, and I always liked Carmine. I haven't spoken to him in a long time, but he always used to laugh at me because he'd say, "Yeah, I know you're afraid to drive these paces." He said, "Because you're afraid they're going to fall down." I said, yep, you got it. I said, I got a lot of years. I want to be in the music business. I said, I like the free-legged. I said, if they go free-legged, I don't mind too much. But the hobbles, I said I could do without them. I said,
Manny wants to know, he says, Trade, you ever meet Sam Cooke? The mob had three
No.
hands around his neck like a chokehold. Did you ever meet Sam Cooke?
No, I never did, but he was really great. He was really great. Having a party.
Who was better, Sam Cooke or the other guy that was right around his time too? The other black guy. Oh God, Sam Cooke.
Jackie Wilson.
Jackie Wilson. Who was better?
You can't come. That two, they were both great in their own right. Jackie Wilson was probably the greatest on-stage entertainer that there will ever be, besides Sammy Davis, who was great on stage. Jackie Wilson was a very favorite. My buddy Bobby Darin, I knew Bobby fairly well. Bobby loved Jackie Wilson, and he tried to emulate Jackie on stage.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Jackie Wilson was Bobby. Bobby Darin loved Jackie Wilson. Sam Cooke had a great voice, but Jackie Wilson was great on stage and had a great voice too, of course, but different. Jackie Wilson was more R&B, where Sam Cooke was more of a smooth kind of a singer. He was more of a smoothie kind of a singer, like Nat King Cole. But he did the up-tempo stuff. He did I was born on by the river. He used to sing that the change is gonna come. I'm gonna redo that song. He used to sing that. Change is gonna come. He wrote that. And he used to sing that.
I seen a lot of great Broadway performers, on stage performers.
Right.
But I think somebody told me this once, and then I paid attention, and especially for that time, the greatest of them all has to be Judy Garland. What do you think about that?
Oh, she was terrific. She was unbelievable. Of course, she had a lot of emotion. It's almost like I compared Judy Garland to Patsy Cline in the country area. Judy Garland, of course, was more of a pop singer, somewhere over the rainbow. But Patsy Cline was a great country artist. And I compared both of them only because they both had great emotion in their vocal presence. And that's what I look for. That's what I feel, what I feel lacks in Bublé is his emotional vocal presence. He doesn't have it. He's got a nice voice, and he looks nice. He's a good, nice guy. I never met him, but Paul Anka likes him, and Neil Sedaka likes him a lot. But I say he doesn't have the emotion in his voice that a Tom Jones has, that a Nat King Cole has. He doesn't have that, So that's
What'd you think of her daughter, Liza Minnelli?
Oh, I recorded with her. I was on a session with her once. Actually, Charlie Colello was the arranger on the session, and I was on a session with her. Only one session. It was at Capitol Records. I remember it was like it was yesterday. It was in the 60s, in the mid-60s.
She sings that one song when she did that thing with Sammy Davis, when Dean Martin quit, with Sammy, Sinatra, and her. She sings that one song, that one line in that song goes, one day it's kicks and then it's kicks in the shins. I forget the name of that song. But
yeah, I forget too. I don't remember that. Yeah.
Oh, it's a great song. I played it on here I played it on here a lot, and then YouTube got a hold of me and says, you can't keep playing trade songs that are trademarked or something like that. So I had
the copyright, because the
copyright. You can't keep playing them songs. But I played that song. What a great song it was. I can't think of the name of it. Sometimes you're down, sometimes you're out, but the world stands still. Something like that. I don't know, but
I'm not sure. I gotta listen. I gotta look for it. I'll look for it.
It's a
I'll
great.
look. I'm gonna send you. I'm gonna send you and Manny and also Greg Peck. I'm gonna send you guys, and I'm gonna send it to Freddie Hudson too. This song about really, it's probably it's a stick out. You'll like the song. You'll hear it.
Manny says, wasn't Judy Garland a head case? Let me tell you a little bit I know about Judy Garland, and only because I went out to California with Alfredo Leone to buy Judy Garland's 26 TV series, her library. She did a TV series, 26 episodes.
Wow.
We had it pre-sold to Homebox, and she was dead, but Sid Luft was her husband at the time, so we had to deal with him. So we went to Sid Luft, and he had. I only wish I had all the pictures. The whole place was full of pictures with Judy Garland and every movie star and singer in the world, and we were dealing with him for the rights to Judy Garland's life.
Uh-huh.
And because she wasn't alive, you had to go by the books. And what we didn't know, and what our attorney told us, and the attorney happened to be, I just thought of his name. It was oh God, the father of the girl that was married to Quincy Jones. What the hell was his name? He was a big lawyer then. But anyway, he got back to us and says that Sid Luft was such a sick, degenerate gambler. He was at the track every day. He owed everybody money. All the rights to all the books that were written, he already sold all the rights.
Oh, no kidding.
So so we couldn't do it. But you'd be surprised. The only one, and we had a stipulation that we had to get permission from everybody that was on his show, and they all signed it except Sinatra. And the reason we needed the stipulation was because back then they didn't have they didn't have order, DVD tapes or whatever.
Yeah.
So we needed their permission to put it on the DVD things or whatever it was. And Sinatra wouldn't do it. But we found out about that at the same time when the attorney told us that we can't go ahead with the deal because it'd be a massive lawsuit, and that series would never get sold because too many people own the rights to it.
I see. Yeah.
But anyway, to answer Manny's question, Judy Garland was a head case because she was a kid. The studios made her always lose weight and take all kinds of pills, and she became a druggie. She had to stay. It was terrible what they, and she became addictive because, but just like Tannenbaum did to me, the studios did to Judy Garland. They turned her into a drug addict, and it was sad because she was so loved by everybody. And it was sad, and the drugs drove her crazy. The drugs killed her, but she was a great singer and a great. I liked that time when she even backed off when she had a young Barbara Streisand on her show, and they did that one song together, and I think "Happy Days Are Here Again," something like that.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
And Streisand was really belting it out, and Judy just stayed right with her, but she just a class act. And I used to love her show. She had Tony Bennett on. She did that. I Left My Heart in San Francisco with Tony Bennett. She was just great. She was great. Just got fucked by everybody. Everybody robbed her. Everybody cheated her. Everybody. I don't know. I feel bad for her. And the other thing I don't understand about her daughter, Liza Minnelli, she must have been married 100 times, and every time to a gay guy. What was that all about? I don't understand that. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know.
Well, she didn't want to. She didn't want to marry a woman outright, so she married a gay guy. That's all. You know.
All right, Jesse Black says there is a play on Broadway now about Barbie Darin called Just in Time. Well,
Really?
I didn't know that. I know that the only thing I knew about Barbie Darin was that he was really good. I don't know what I know. Here's what I think. I love Sinatra, but Barbie Darin in his lifespan, which was very, very, it was 1/3 of Sinatra's. I think he accomplished as much or not more than Sinatra in his lifespan, because I think Darin knew he was going to die young and just did everything. He went from splish splash into that playing them long haired, beatnik stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I know he did. Yes, he did.
He went crazy, but he was really good, and I know that years ago when they were young, he was in love, and so was Connie Francis with him. They were a couple, but Connie Francis' father, I think, made them break up or something.
Yeah, I heard he threatened Bobby.
But she was a heavyweight, Connie Francis, wasn't she, back in the 50s and 60s?
Oh yeah, sure, she was very big. Yeah. Bobby was a nice fella, though. I did a couple of shows with Bobby, and he liked me. He wanted me to play guitar for him at the Copa. He goes, "I want you to play guitar." I said, "Bobby, I want to do the Copa as a singer." I said, "I don't want to play guitar at the Copa. I appreciate it, but because I recorded Beyond the Sea as Lemaire before Bobby recorded it, and then Bobby's record came out and killed my record. Mine was a guitar instrumental, and Bobby used to always apologize to me that he killed my record. He did, but what are you going to do? But he sang Beyond the Sea, and my instrumental version, which is on YouTube also, of Lemaire, which is Beyond the Sea in French. So that's
Manny says Michael Jackson got his moves from Jackie Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
Never gives Jackie Wilson credit for Michael Jackson. Well, I don't know if that's true or not, but
that's what I heard too. But I'm not. Listen, I'm not much of a Michael Jackson fan. I'm not I just have a thing against somebody who I think is a pedophile.
Yeah.
I don't appreciate them. I love Michael Jackson stuff, but
ain't that amazing? He did a whole album, and every song on the album become #1.
I know, it's amazing.
Unbelievable.
Well, he was very hot at that time. I mean, he was the hottest thing you could even think of. Like on that Thriller, the Thriller album was big.
What did you think about Elvis?
Well, Elvis, I thought I was Elvis, and he was imitating me. I tell you that when I was younger. But listen, there is nobody who doesn't like Elvis around the world. He is an icon. In fact, if he ran for president, he'd probably win.
He was something. There's a bunch of songs that he does that are really, really, really great. He does them live. He was unbelievable. I can't believe it gets me so mad that drugs just ruin so many good, talented people. And when you see him, how handsome he was and how slim and how them clothes fit him, to near the end that he was so fat and bloated, and oh my God.
I know. What a shame. He was probably the best looking guy you could ever find.
Yeah.
Great
and a nice guy too. Nice guy too.
I heard he helped a lot of people. He was a nice fella.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
All right, Trade. It's 3 hours now. That's it. Is that it? You want to talk about something else?
No, I'm okay. I'm okay with whatever you want to do, Larry. I'm okay with. I got some more Sinatra stories I want to tell you, but we'll save them for next time.
You want to save them for next time?
Yeah, let's save them for next time. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Weeks if we do
now, next time, whenever you want, You just make the same phone call. Make the same phone call, and I did what you said. I have 5 numbers for you. You said cross 4 of them out. I did, and I have the number that I called you tonight. And next time you call me, whenever you're ready, whenever you have time, I can't call you because I don't know when you're busy, what your schedule is. Now you're going to do, I know you already know one song that you're definitely going to do. You're going to do that Neil Sedaka song.
Yep, Hungry Ears.
And so I know you'll be busy. So you call me whenever you want to come on again, and we can talk about my favorite subject, Frank Sinatra, and we'll talk some more horse stories.
Beautiful. Okay, good.
I thank you very much for coming on, Trade. It was a pleasure, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, good, Larry. In a couple of weeks, we'll do it again.
Okay, buddy. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good night. Good night.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Okay, folks, that was Trade Martin. Really, really good guy. Great guy. So now we're going to close the show. I'm going to go downstairs and I'm going to have my ice cream. So don't forget, tune in tomorrow. We're going to have Freddie Hudson on tomorrow, and we'll have Trade back in a couple of weeks. He's a very, very interesting guy, very talented guy. I don't want to bring too much up because I don't want to get too personal with him, but I gotta try to ask better questions to get more stuff out of him. Because and maybe next time you guys could think of some questions, because he says he loves to answer questions, and he if you talk about music or horses or instruments, he knows it all. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow night at 8:00. Freddie's coming on with I don't know who, because Freddie tells me the last minute. So thanks for showing up, and I'll see you